Hi, everybody, and welcome to FNS Wrestling Podcast, episode 16. I am your host, and with me, as always, is my teenage son, Jackson. Say hello, Jack.
Hello, I just ate a donut.
You did, the square donuts.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, I don't know if we've talked about them before in here, but my wife discovered during the sort of quarantining, pandemic-y time early on, a place that normally wouldn't deliver out this far just because they're trying to get
the
more...
odd time they're delivering around here. So.
Just to, in an efforts to get some more business to supplement probably what they're replace what they're losing from the pandemic.
Right, like coming in.
If they get enough orders in our area, they deliver here. So whenever they sort of say they're looking to deliver here, we usually get a box of delicious.
Sorry, that was my drink. Delicious
square donuts. Yes, what you drinking? We did end up
Booster juice again.
Booster juice again. It's beautiful
Woo! Here.
It's like almost 20 degrees Celsius, which for November where
we
this
live, time I was actually like saying I wanted to get booster juice, like because usually we wing it. Today, like, we'll, like, be like, oh, where do you want to go for lunch?
Yeah.
And, like, why don't we get booster juice while we're there? But, like, I was like, I want to get booster juice.
Yep, so we walked over in T-shirts. It's quite beautiful, and I picked up a new piece of audio equipment that I had ordered to get delivered into Walmart, which...
Don't order from Wish.
Well, yeah, I tried to order it from Wish, and they sent me the wrong thing, so then I ordered it from somewhere else, and I'm going to play with that later this afternoon. Didn't quite have time before we started the podcast.
Yeah, I watched some videos from Cultaholic, and they bought, like, a bunch of crap wrestling stuff from Wish, and like, you said you're buying it from Wish, I was like, you shouldn't do that, and then I was right.
They sent me the wrong thing, and it seems like too big of a pain to send back, so I'm just keeping it, and it's a $20 lesson.
It's kind of funny. The mic's funny.
So show 16, I wanted to ask you, did you know, you probably didn't, that 16 was one of my favorite numbers as a younger person? Did you know that?
No.
Did you know why?
Because it was 6?
No, well, yes, partly, but it was, and you'll love this because it's sports talk, which you always love.
Yeah.
Bo Jackson was my favorite athlete when I was young, arguably one of the greatest athletes of all time. He played baseball and football professionally, and 16 was his baseball number. So, yeah, I like 16. And what else is significant about Bo Jackson?
My name.
Correct. Your mother loved the name.
I'd like to think more Jack White.
It's a combination. So your mother loved the name Jackson for our firstborn child, and Bo Jackson is my favorite athlete.
I am said child.
My favorite musician ever is Jack White, so it made a ton of sense to me, so we went with that. And another connection now to Bo Jackson. Is that I recently found on your brother's Switch getting all those retro Super NES and original Nintendo games. So I've been playing some Tecmo Bowl, where if you know anything about retro games, Bo Jackson is absolutely unstoppable in that game. Even though they've taken out all the players' names and licenses and stuff like that, I still know who he is, and he still dominates in that game.
Nice.
It's been quite fun. So here's our check-in. How's school this week? Meh? Was okay?
Yeah.
Did you have to do something, record something for...
Yeah, and I had to watch it.
Oh, you did? And that was not your favorite thing?
Well, I literally just blasted Hangman's theme and tuned myself out.
Oh, you had to, like, play it for the class sort of thing?
Yep, and I did not listen to it at all.
Why?
Because I didn't want to.
Okay. As long as it went well, I'm sure you did fine on whatever the assignment was for.
I don't know. Maybe
you don't know yet?
Maybe I did.
We'll find out. All right. Well, do you have anything else you want to discuss in our introduction section, or should we get down to talking some wrestling?
President thing.
Oh, yeah, the election was decided today, like an hour and a half maybe ago before we started recording. So that's nice that that's out of the way because it's been, as you all know, ongoing for days and days and days. And we have been watching carefully in Canada, many of us, just because you are neighbors to the south, just to see what's going on down there. So we're relieved that seems to be done, although there'll probably be some legal challenges and things down the road. But at least step one of deciding who's president down there seems to be completed. So that's something.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. All right. So I think we can transition into some news and rumors this week. That for me, it was kind of a slow week. We were just talking about it.
I know. I usually have like a bunch of stuff. I hardly have anything.
I hit my few sites that I always hit Saturday morning as I'm drinking
hit Culture.
My first couple coffees.
Oh, yeah. This is unrelated, but I just found out, I think it was just this morning, that they're doing a What Culture Star Wars channel now, which I find cool.
You will enjoy that very much.
Yeah.
Being a What Culture fan. Is that the ones that are just too loud for me?
Yeah, I'd recommend trying Cultaholic too. They're a little less that, and they do like rankings, like They just did every 2000 pay-per-view.
Nice.
So they're starting to get probably like Azure, which I think you would like, and then they also do like one of my favorites is like it's a long one, but every Intercontinental Champion or like every WCW champion,
Cool.
every WWE champion. They're good. So maybe I'll send you one of the videos. But
You never know. I might have some time. I do watch some random wrestling stuff in my week. I was telling you I watched some. What was it? In Japan. Why can't I remember the name of the promotion now?
Something.
It's here as well, and I was telling him I saw a match I really liked, but I had no idea who any of the Dragon Gate.
Oh yeah, Dragon Gate.
There we go. Any of the participants were. I think.
I thought of a video you might like is every In Your House.
I think BB Hulk was one of them.
Huh.
I've heard of him, but anyways, it was a cool match.
I think that'd be your time, right? Like when they were doing In Your House, like mid-90s.
Yes, my time is anywhere from like 87, 86 onward, pretty much. I took some breaks here and there, but pretty steady since mid-80s, probably. Okay,
All right, now actually into news and rumors.
Actually into news and rumors, which our first thing is always to talk about the ratings, which were down actually for both companies this week. So AEW averaged 717,000 viewers, which is down 8.2% from last week, and NXT averaged 610,000, so just over 100,000 below AEW, and they were down 30%, which sounds like a huge number, but they had picked up a lot for Halloween Havoc last week, right? It was basically a pay-per-view as a show that they had promoted.
A good one.
And it was good. So that kind of makes sense. And in the key demographic, AEW drew a 0.3 rating, which was down 6.3%, while NXT drew a 0.14, which is down 44%. That sounds huge, but remember they had made a gain of like 56% or something in that category last week. So it's natural that they're going to settle back down to sort of where they usually are. So both shows were down in viewership overall, but AEW wins after losing their first battle. I think it was since July. They lost to Halloween Havoc show last week. So what do you have?
Retribution, best faction ever, right?
Of course, our favorite.
Yeah. So y'all may have noticed, they have gone down in their ranks, I guess. They had lost a member. That being, I believe it's Retaliation.
Mercedes Martinez, we talked about that, yeah.
So the reason she was removed from the group is simply she didn't want to be in it anymore. Can you blame her, though?
She's smart. I mean, that's a pretty big, bold statement because she's basically saying no thank you to a main roster spot, right?
Right.
And risking whatever was going to happen. Although that's sort of a news story I forgot. If she does get sent down to NXT, I just heard that NXT so far, and this is funny because you know how we joke about them being an equal third brand because that's what WWE tries to tell us. So apparently...
Right. They're not even in Survivor Series this year.
I know, and apparently NXT wrestlers can still have third party like Twitch and stuff like that.
Huh.
Which is very interesting because they've made such a big deal of getting everybody off of it.
I know Johnny Gargano does that, right? I think.
So far NXT talent are still allowed to do it. So we'll see what happens there. I actually had a news nugget from New Japan, which we rarely cover, but I do love New Japan. I just don't really have much time to watch it. And it was your boy Jay White defeated Kota Ibushi for the double championship challenge rights, which I thought was pretty surprising, to be honest. Apparently he got the pin while Ibushi's feet were on the ropes. The ref didn't. Yes.
Yeah.
The ref didn't see it, so I'm wondering if there'll be like future battles over this prize of the right to challenge for the double championship, and I think that would be pretty cool because Jay White
Did he do a switchblade?
Sorry.
Did he do a switchblade?
I don't know. I didn't watch it. I'm just telling you. Because Jay White and Kota Ibushi are awesome. So any sort of feud they can drag out between those two, I imagine would be pretty awesome. I might even check it out if I find some time to watch some.
I just
Japanese
love
wrestling.
Jay White's finisher. So
Jay
how
White is
about
fantastic.
you watch the match and then when he's about to do a switchblade, you pause it, you yell at me, and I come see it.
And honestly, when Jay White started there, when they started pushing him, because that's when I was watching New Japan. Can you turn your phone?
Sorry, Mom
sound
keeps
off, please?
texting me.
Can you just turn your sound off? That would help.
I don't know how to do that.
When I started watching him in New Japan, I did not see, when they started pushing him, I didn't see it.
I think he looks weird with like the goatee or whatever. But
he has turned into a star, and I think any North American promotion would love to snap him up if they ever get a chance.
What's up with Bullet Club right now? I don't even know.
I don't know either. I'm far behind.
I don't even know since I know it was like Cody and Kenny and then Bucks, but then they're gone, and then I think Jay White's leading it, and then now I don't even know. Like,
I have no idea. I'm very far behind.
I think
in New
Kenta's
Japan.
in it now. I don't even know.
I look forward to an opportunity to catch up because it is awesome. So probably my favorite in-ring stuff. I just with this podcast we're committed to a couple shows.
I find their turnbuckles confusing.
Outside of that, not much time.
Yeah.
Any other news items for you?
WWE announces a final farewell to The Undertaker at Survivor Series 2020. This is like Undertaker's 30th anniversary month.
Right.
So
they're doing something.
Yeah. I'm wondering if like this will actually be a final thing or...
I think with the advent of cinematches, they can prolong his career now, right? People are getting used to basically seeing a cinematch or two on every pay-per-view.
They could.
So even if we get back to normal times, they could still sneak one in and really extend his quote-unquote in-ring career by making it all pre-recorded and as safe as possible, I guess.
Right.
It's not something I want, but I think it's something they could do.
Right.
Yeah.
5 years ago we had his 25th anniversary. He and Kane faced the Wyatt family. So.
Yikes.
Yeah. No guesses to who won that match.
The Wyatt family were awesome in their NXT days, and had a bit of a run, but then it kind of didn't work out too well for them.
And now Bray Wyatt is being cool boy. Braun Strowman is wearing weird clothes. Brody Lee's also being cool boy, and Eric Rowan is in the UWN tournament.
Right. One other thing I had sort of going back to last week, because I think you had talked about Matt Riddle becoming just Riddle. And I was listening to another podcast. I think it was Sunday Night Main Event, and they had Meltzer on it. And Meltzer was asked if the name change was motivated by Vince not wanting people to be able to search Matt Riddle on the internet since he has somewhat of a questionable recent history. And Meltzer was basically like, yeah, 100%. That he just thinks that if we just call him Riddle, people won't be able to Google search him and find out some of the not so great things he's done. Yeah, and even if they did their
allegations, and it's still not great, but like, I don't think it merits a terrible name change.
Well, and is getting rid of his first name really going to stop people from searching?
And
like, it's one
a terrible
more
and
step.
Pointless one,
Yes.
right?
So I don't know. Like, Meltzer's sure that's why. It seems like it could be because Vince does some unpredictable things.
Yeah,
but
he's weird.
I don't see the logic in it. But anyways, do you have any other news? That's all I had this week.
You don't see the logic? Well, classic Vince McMahon right there.
That is true.
So Tony Khan confirms that the AEW Full Gear main event will be Jon Moxley versus Eddie Kingston. No real shockers there.
That's what I was kind of like. What was the other option, really? Right? I don't know.
Maybe that tag match, because
they
do push tag wrestling, and then Young Bucks are being big.
You're right.
We gotta win, people.
And I mean, if it had some sort of gold involved, you could also argue Omega Page, but I don't think you can put.
That was a title match, That's
what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think you can put a non-title match ahead of your main title, right?
When Sinai quit match too.
But yeah, you're right. You could argue FTR Young Bucks.
Yeah, and then Khan also said that Moxley versus Brody Lee from Double or Nothing earlier this year was a huge title match.
Right.
And Mox didn't want it to go after the Stadium Stampede, so that's why that didn't main event, which I think is actually probably smart.
That match was pretty tough to follow.
I loved the Stadium Stampede.
I'd
honestly, that's like probably the only Cine match I'd ever watch again. Like, it was really good.
My only concern with this tag championship match, apparently Matt Jackson isn't healthy, and that sort of
I noticed he got cleared, and like I think he's got like some legit injury.
Yeah, the leg he's been selling, he actually does apparently have an injury, but we'll see. I mean, even him at 80% is pretty good. He's probably still going to do some things he shouldn't, and it'll be awesome to watch. I'm pretty excited for that. But we're gonna talk about a little preview of the Full Gear pay-per-view a little bit later in the show. So if you don't have any other news, I'm done. Are you?
I'm done.
All right, so we'll move into Jack Fact number 1 before we get into a full-on review. Yeah. So what's Jack Fact number 1?
We've only got 2 today, but that's all right.
So let us know.
Got a bit of a theme here.
Nice.
Unofficial title reigns. I told you that earlier. So.
Unofficial title reigns. Okay.
You ever heard of Antonio Inoki?
Yep. Of course.
Yeah, famous Japanese wrestler. Yep. Created New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's wrestled a few times for the then WWF. So in the WWE Japan event, he actually won the WWE Championship, defeating Bob Backlund.
Right.
And relinquished the title after a rematch had interference.
Right.
Backlund won the vacated title at Madison Square Garden, and WWE does not officially recognize this reign, so that's why it's
so we're going things that happened, but they don't actually admit they happened. Yes, I remember hearing that one.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I first heard about this actually when I was watching Cultaholic Every WWE Champion. They mentioned that like at the beginning.
Yep.
The unofficial title run. So
and it's interesting, right? Because they can control their history, and now they can control.
And I think because Inoki probably was so focused in Japan, right? So they're like, they don't want this guy like staying in Japan, just kind of holding their title hostage, kind of like Brock Lesnar.
Right.
Except Brock Lesnar would actually at least be like wrestling from time to time, but like Inoki's probably more focused with like New Japan and like just wrestling there.
He was. And
So
the crazy thing
they didn't
now
want
is
him to have the title forever.
is not only do they control their history, but because as WWE is buying the libraries of everywhere else, they can now control that kind of history, right? So the fear is if they just continue buying up every library everywhere, they basically control the history of wrestling, right? They can tell the stories they want and use the footage they want and
Yeah, they could
exclude the footage they
like,
don't
I'd
want.
honestly be afraid if they buy AEW's library.
It's interesting. So all of these people who have been collecting things on VHS, like now there's some kind of value to that, right? Because they have the original. Even when I'm watching older stuff on the network and you're there with me sometimes and it's not the themes.
Like Jericho and WCW, like, right, he has like his WWE debut
Right,
theme.
so it's got all of these
Even, like,
themes
things
are
like
now
that.
changed. So even something as small as that sort of being lost, like all of those incredible rip-offs of 90s like hit songs that WCW
DDP's
was
Nirvana
right,
ripoff.
and Pearl Jam rip-offs and stuff, like I don't know, that's kind of a cool part of the history to me, and that part is going to be lost unless people somehow share the original copies of these things.
Right,
But
unless you
anyways,
really like seek it out,
yeah,
which you shouldn't have to do for something so insignificant.
right, like who, like yes, so yeah, you're hearing Jericho's current theme on something from 25 years ago or whatever, which is a bit
Well,
odd
like
for
not
me.
current, but like the one like
His
he
WWE
debuted.
theme, yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
the one he debuted.
Not
with.
Judas, but yeah.
But like the first rendition of the Break the Walls Down.
Yep. All right, so there's
You know what I
Jack
just
Fact
thought
number
of?
one.
The Jer Show theme. It's like, well, it's the Big Show. It's like it's such a weird
It's a combo mashup.
It's not like, yeah, but it's not like a bar mashup, you know, where like it starts Cesaro. It's like,
Yes.
it's like, so it's like Big Show's theme, but it's slightly different, and like the guy sounds a little different. Then it's also got like the Break the Walls Down and stuff. It's a funny theme. I'll show you to you sometime. It's kind of
Sure.
funny.
So let's move into our first in-depth review of the week, and that is AEW Dynamite. And I have kept pretty hush about this show with you because I like our reactions here to be sort of new to each other. So we haven't spoken very much about this, and it was on, obviously, Wednesday night. So let's talk about that now. Jackson, go ahead. This is you.
Yeah. We got an Inner Circle interview. Hager has a bunch of bruises from his Bellator fight.
Yes, he does.
Jericho
He
praising
he
him.
won, though, right? So
Yeah. I think he's still undefeated, right?
I think so.
I believe so. MJF and Wardlow then interrupt, and MJF says Jericho will see that MJF belongs in their circle, and Jericho calls MJF soft. MJF tells Jericho to watch the match, and Jericho's going to be on commentary.
Yep.
So our opening match is MJF and Wardlow versus Ortiz and Sammy Guevara, and you said that you were suspicious of maybe some Santana injury.
Yeah, where's Santana? And
Right.
because Sammy's kind of involved in something with somebody else already with Hardy, right? So I don't know. It seems kind of odd that Santana is excluded from this, but they didn't offer any reason for it. So
maybe it's just because Sammy didn't want him in because of the jacket thing.
I mean, the assumption is always, hey, he's been off TV a couple of weeks, Corona, right? But I don't know. Who
Right.
knows?
But he was still on TV. It's not
That's
like
true. He was
wasn't-
there. He just didn't
right?
wrestle. So maybe an injury, maybe
something.
nothing.
Yeah. So Jericho says MJF is soft with like his scarf, and I'm just like, says Chris Jericho,
Yes.
who like when he was doing the list thing, he was like wearing a scarf like
Yep.
all the time.
And Jericho would know that, and he would put that in on purpose. I'm
Almost
sure.
like on purpose,
Oh, yeah.
right? So
I almost guarantee it was.
guarantee, right? Yeah, that's funny. So MJF and Sammy start the match. MJF tags out right away to Wardlow, and Ortiz also tags in. A drop kick to the leg by Ortiz. Wardlow catches leg and hits us like a one-handed spine buster, like Bobby Lashley style.
Yeah, it was big, for sure.
MJF tags in. Wardlow cheap shot. MJF stomps Ortiz in the corner. Wardlow tags in. Wardlow prevents a tag to Sammy Guevara. Corner stomps. MJF tags in. MJF bites Ortiz when the ref is distracted.
Yeah.
MJF prevents another tag and brings Ortiz back to his corner and tags Wardlow in. MJF, after Wardlow does a bit of stuff, MJF tags back in. Sammy Guevara hot tag, some kicks. MJF tags back in. I'm kind of missing some stuff, but it's kind of fast. And eats a knee right away. Springboard crossbody by Sammy, a spaceman plancha by Sammy, like that kind of flippy doodad.
Really quick one after the other, if I remember
A back drop and do like a kick. I know Ray Rowe used to call it death row.
Yep, it looks pretty cool.
He would spell it like ROWEs, which I found funny.
Of course.
For a 2 count. Ortiz and Guevara attempt a superplex on MJF, but Wardlow shoves Ortiz. Arm stomp off the top turnbuckle by MJF. MJF and Sammy avoid each other's moves. Eye poke by MJF, and Sammy hits one of his own as well. GTH by Sammy, which I found funny.
It was cool.
I think it's
like
Go
that.
to Hell, which I think is funny.
Yep, it's a nice move.
It's if you guys know Dominic Dijakovic, it's basically the Feast Your Eyes.
Yep, and he hit a nice big jumping knee right before it too, so it was pretty cool.
Wardlow breaks the count though. A bulldog on Wardlow by Ortiz. A running shooting star press by Sammy, followed by a running senton by Ortiz.
Nice little sequence too.
Yep. We got Tower of Doom with MJF on the top. Wardlow drags MJF to tag in.
Right.
F10 to Ortiz, but Sammy breaks a pin with the top rope splash. A springboard 450 dive to the outside by Sammy on MJF.
I had springboard somersault axe handle. I wasn't.
And then we have Serpentico throwing a chair at Sammy, but it's actually Matt Hardy in disguise.
Right.
And MJF taps out Ortiz with Salt of the Earth. MJF more the win, and then MJF kind of runs up to commentary and attacks Jericho a bit, and then Jericho's like smiling after.
Does he ever? When he just launches into the Jericho into the chair or whatever, and they go flying backward. That was looked like a pretty good spot there.
Yeah, he just like charged into him.
So what did you think of the match?
I thought it was a decent opener. Again, I would like something a little more fast paced, but it had some good spots. So it wasn't bad.
I was pretty similar. I liked the fact that they worked in a way to sort of further address Hardy and Guevara a little bit, just throw that in at the end there, and it did kind of affect the outcome too. I thought it was decent but not great. It was really slow to start, which can be fine, but I don't really think they paid off. You know what I mean? If you're going to start really slow, then I'm expecting a hot tag or that the end is just going to be super fast, and it really wasn't. I thought Wardlow looked better last time we saw him in a singles match. Again, I see some spots where he's kind of standing and waiting awkwardly in between things, but I still like him, and I think he's got massive potential. But this was okay, not great for me as well, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a pretty good match, but not exactly the best opener.
Yeah, we're used to like super fast-paced tag openers on Dynamite, and this wasn't one of them, I don't think.
Yeah, or even like Cage and Hobbs, that was an opener, right?
Yeah, just a big Hoss fight, something exciting to start the show, and there was potential for this to be. I don't think.
Yeah, I think maybe like something more exciting than this at least, right? Yep. So Kenny Omega interview, they're in a house, but not even his house.
That's what I said. In someone's home, but not Kenny's.
Maybe he's renting or something.
Well, yeah, because I think he said he's moved to Jacksonville to focus. Right, that was the first part of this little speech he gave. But anyways, go ahead.
Omega talks about win-loss records and said he could have gotten a bye because he has a good record, because records are supposed to matter. And Omega says he didn't think it was obvious the finals, and he was actually betting on Wardlow, which I thought was a funny touch.
Yes.
And Omega says people should be betting on him and that he will be the next AEW champion after he wins the tournament. I find that offensive.
I like his calm, jerky heel persona where
it's working for him.
80% of what he says is basically bragging. Like I thought it was funny, well, I could have asked for a bye to the finals because I'm just that amazing, right? Like my record's so good. I was the greatest wrestler in the world for years, but I'm such a great person and whatever, I want to do it the right way, right? So everything he says is just kind of him bragging about himself in a couple different ways, and I quite enjoy it, and I think it's necessary because Paige is, especially if the fans come back, right? Paige is a babyface and the people love him, so I think you need to sort of have Kenny go this route, which I'm pretty excited about, and I actually like this segment.
Yeah, it was really good, and building some hype for what's going to be a great match.
Yes, I will have some issues with this show, but they did make attempts to at least build each feud up before
Which is always appreciated.
Which is appreciated, yes.
Next we have Trent versus Miro. This is Miro's singles debut.
And I have, great, this feud was built on a third-party platform because it was something off of the main show that they were referencing at the beginning. I don't even remember, but it's
and
just...
then the machine thing.
As you know, one of my pet peeves that they expect that I'm consuming all of their third-party media stuff.
I don't even watch Dark, so even I'm not paying attention.
When Dark is now longer than Dynamite on a regular basis, that's a problem for me. But anyways, yeah, it's been over 2 hours the last couple, I think. And there's one, I believe, last night. They put a special one out last night before the pay-per-view. But anyways, carry on.
One of them I remember I watched at school because I just had time. It was like half an hour.
Quality schooling. Yeah, no, there's been a couple 2-hour ones now.
Yeah. Getting a little out of hand for...
I think so. I mean, some people watch it and whatever. It's free,
but it's just
so
like, it's
go
2
ahead.
hours of squash matches, basically.
It is.
So, not exactly what you're looking for. Trent attacks right away. Miro yanks Trent off the turnbuckle into a back suplex. Chop by Trent does not affect Miro.
Yeah, Trent got all fired up because Miro
Yeah.
grabbed the mic and mentioned Trent's mom in a
yeah.
promo, so then that fired up Trent for a fast start.
Yep. Back elbow catches Trent. Chuck Taylor attacks Kip and takes him away. Poor Kip. Corner splash by Miro. Trent dodges another corner splash. Corner clothesline by Trent. Suplex by Miro. Dark Order attack Cassidy during a commercial break because he was ringside.
Yes.
Trent gets out of a bear hug post commercial break. Miro misses a corner splash and Trent hits a clothesline for 1 count. Half and half suplex by Trent. Trent avoids the Machka kick and rolls Miro up for a 2 count. Now that Miro's on the outside and Tope con Hilo by Trent. Running knee for a near fall by Trent. Machka kick by Miro connects and Miro taps Trent out with the accolade. Miro wins and then reapplies the hold. Chuck comes to make the save, but then Kip attacks him. And then they beat up best friends. Miro cuts a promo and Orange Cassidy dives on the Kip and Miro.
And at some point in this, Penelope Cruz outside the ring, right, slaps the glasses off of Orange Cassidy. And I think he takes her glasses to replace them or something like that.
Yeah.
There was a couple of spots where the camera work missed. One I had a note of we were supposed to see something going on with Penelope, I think, but the camera wasn't really getting it. I didn't love this match. I thought Miro looked aggressive and vicious, which is cool.
He looked aggressive, but he didn't look like... dare I say Trent got a little too much offense?
Yeah, that might be it. It just didn't seem to flow for me. It looked like it was just a bunch of moves, kind of. And my disappointment with Miro sort of continues, right?
Yeah,
and I've loved Trent in a couple of singles matches lately, and this didn't work for me somehow. I don't like this feud. I don't like the characters Miro and Sabian are playing. I don't find it interesting. I don't know. I'm just missing something. And I listen to other people who it seems to be, I'm not the only one, that this is, even people that love AEW, this is generally a storyline they're not big fans of, and I would be included in that group, I think.
Yeah, Miro didn't look bad, Trent didn't look bad, but Miro didn't look strong enough for his singles debut, I think.
Yeah, there's just something, there's something I'm missing. I don't know what it is. I appreciate that he's trying to have a new character and new gimmick and stuff, but it's just not connecting with me and I think of many other people as well from what I'm hearing and reading.
Yeah,
but
they made Miro look good, but I think they should have gone farther for this guy's debut.
But again, I think it might be one of those things where they have their singles stuff ready to go for now, and they may have plans for Miro to be a big singles wrestler in the future, and it's just not right now, right? Because they seem like they're actual long-term planners, so it might be like we're bringing Miro in, but we're not going to be pushing him as a singles for 8 months, a year, whatever it turns out to be, right? So
yeah, maybe.
Again, I still sort of trust them, but so far I haven't been impressed with how he's been presented to me.
Yeah, I think they need a little stronger presentation, but we can trust them. And
for now.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens. Though.
Agreed. What's next?
We got a Hangman Page interview. Yeah.
And I just made a note as in becoming a bit of a sound nerd, but this doesn't even take a sound nerd to notice. There were some sound problems.
They're like really like
echoey to begin segments, and it was the same with the Omega. They figure it out eventually, but there's at least a few seconds where there's just a ton of echo, and I don't really know why.
That makes sense if they're like doing a promo there, but it's like they're in like a place or whatever, right? Like it shouldn't have this much echo, and they're just in like a little room.
Well, and it's a pre-taped segment. If I'm listening back to that, I'm trying to figure out how to fix that, right? It's not like it's happening live in the ring and you're trying to fix it on the fly. It's pre-taped. You listened to that and heard it. You could have either reshot it or see, I don't know enough to know if you can fix that in post-production. I'm nowhere near that good, but anyways, the sound was not great in multiple segments tonight, which I thought was strange. They fixed it. It ends up being fine, but it starts out very echoey. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. But so Hangman said he figured he and Kenny would be in the finals, so he's prepared. He says he knows Kenny's moves and how to reverse them, and then JR thinks he's nervous, and Hangman
basically calls him a liar, which I thought was aggressive. I think you're lying, right? Like, okay.
And Hangman says he is a little bit, and then he says this is the closest he's been to the title since last year when he faced Jericho to try to become the first champion.
Yep, and he said if he doesn't win, all he's got is his whiskey. I thought this was fine, but I'm not a huge fan of his like doubting, insecure character. I like the sort of cool. I like the lone wolf, super confident Hangman, and maybe it's coming
Yeah,
back
I
around.
like the confident Hangman that like was like getting a little insecure of like the Young Bucks overshadowing him, but then like was confident himself, so he like kind of betrayed them just because then he was like good to go on his own. But like I
And
don't
I
know,
think that's what
they're doing so good with him,
and the
right?
crowd was connecting with him in that character. So maybe they'll bring it back when and if there's crowds again. But yeah, this isn't my favorite version of him. But again, it's still interesting to me. And the dynamic with he and Omega, I think, is pretty cool. And I'm really looking forward to the match. So I really can't complain too much about it.
Yeah, true. So next we have a Team Taz promo, and Taz once again reminds Hobbs to make a decision on the recruitment.
Well, I had there was an
offer.
FTR Young Bucks package with had the worst echoing yet.
Oh, I didn't.
That stopped halfway
I must have
through.
missed that
It was
then.
just one of those things where people were giving their opinions on who's going to win.
Oh, yeah, right.
Right?
Did
And
I
the
miss
Young
that?
Bucks definitely appear to be baby faces now again, kind of out of nowhere after just...
Okay, I remember that. I just must
attacking
have missed
people.
to take notes on that. Then.
And the sound on this one was the worst yet, and it actually lasted the longest. It does stop, but it lasted a lot longer, so I really don't understand what was going on with the sound. Anyways, this was fine. It was just quick cuts to people making their prediction and giving their opinions on these tag matches or tag teams, so it was fine.
Yeah.
Then Taz.
It was aight. So then he said he sat outside Tony Khan's office for 3 hours. Says Cage is ranked #1, so he should be facing Mox, not Kingston. Says Starks has been winning all of his latest matches since that Darby Allin match, and he's not even in the top 5. And Starks says he hits home runs with every opportunity. Says they should have a Full Gear match, and Taz says Cody and Darby Allin are spoiled and whatnot.
Yeah, Taz was great as always, and he makes good points, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, are you
It's
guys
so logical too.
Are you guys about records and win losses, or are you not?
I think
because
in
Kingston's
this
not.
case it was just because like the importance of this rivalry, and like Kingston just kept wanting to say like, all right, we'll give you one match where like if you lose it's your fault, and then I think they can resume the rankings. Probably.
Yeah, and that still leaves Taz having like a logical argument though, right? Which I think is he's doing well with that. Like he has a point for sure. His guys. So I didn't like Ricky Stark speaking here because this is what I saw most before he got to AEW, where he's trying to be like the kind of like Rock Light kind of thing, overconfident, trying to be funny and witty. And I preferred him in AEW when he's been really serious because I think he can speak really well.
Yeah, and I
wasn't my favorite.
didn't understand what the hell he was wearing.
I don't even remember.
It was some weird like shirt and pants and weird glasses.
Oh, so I thought Taz was really good, and he says that the FTW will have a presence at Full Gear, so they're gonna insert themselves somehow in the show, I guess. And that's I thought Taz was really good, and Starks was not as good as he has been.
Yeah, I didn't dislike the Starks thing as much as you did, but I see what you mean.
And the whole still pursuing Hobbs and Hobbs giving no response, this is sort of dragging out, right? Like, it doesn't make their faction look really good when a guy who barely gets any TV time and is just sort of starting his career on Dynamite either doesn't want to be part of their group or can't be bothered to answer them. I don't know. I just think Hobbs needs to give an answer so we can get past this little bit.
Yes.
But anyways, we got another tag match coming up.
Yep, we got Young Bucks versus Private Party. These guys got some history from that tag tournament last year.
They do.
And the 4-way, that was last week? Was it last week, the 4-way? No, it was 2 weeks,
I think.
maybe?
I don't know. You know me.
I don't know. So Sammy Guevara attacks Matt Hardy during Private Party's entrance. So we start the match with Nick Jackson versus Mark Quinn. So we got some holds and counters, of course.
Of course.
Rope step kind of thing. Arm drag by Nick Jackson and arm drag by Matt Jackson after he tags in. Nick tags back in. Well, what do you know? Isaiah Cassidy tags in. Stereo slingshot planchas to the outside by the Bucks.
Yep.
So we got Matt versus Cassidy now, and I've discovered that is with a K.
And yeah, it is. So it's not he's not related to Orange Cassidy, I guess.
Huh, interesting. Or maybe he's tricking
And Matt's
us.
been sort of selling his foot or knee or whatever during this match,
and we were talking
right?
about that it might actually be legit.
Sounds like he's got an injury on that leg. I don't know if it's
And
the part.
it said something about ACL, and that just always gives me like bad feeling because like that was what Seth Rollins did, I think, twice.
Yes. The one against Samoa Joe, right? I remember.
Yeah, and then the first one was when he tried to do a sunset flip thing on Kane,
Oh, yeah.
and then it just
That's
And
right.
the one Cultaholic video, I remember they were making a joke about Sheamus getting lucky because he cashed in on Roman Reigns after Roman Reigns won the tournament for the vacant title.
Yeah.
And when Rollins got injured, it was in Dublin, Ireland.
Right.
So, I don't know, that was just kind of funny.
Interesting.
But anyways, Mark Quinn tags in, and so does Nick Jackson. Double team flurry by Private Party, capped off with double drop kicks. Suicide dives by Private Party. Matt shoves Cassie off the top rope onto the stage, which was a pretty nice bump.
It was.
Matt tags in, corner knee, Domagiri forearm by Nick in the corner. Oh, I said that right. Okay, never mind.
It's okay.
Into a running bulldog, and then Matt drop kicks Quinn as he's taking a bulldog. It was really cool, actually.
Yeah, it looks really nice. I kind of like that combo as well.
Quinn avoids a Meltzer driver. Was this the weird one, right? When, like, with the flatliner and, like, you were kind of confused?
Yes, I was a little bit confused. It was take a DDT flatliner combo with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
And then Cassie tags in post-commercial break. A springboard flip over stunner by Cassidy. A slingshot corkscrew crossbody by Cassie to the box, and then gin and juice by Private Party, but Matt breaks the pin. That's like the Hurricane Run into the cutter.
Yeah.
It's actually playing like a level on this game called Happy Wheels where you can just make levels.
Yeah.
And they make wrestling levels, and there's one that this guy made, gin and juice, and I actually like got a really good one. It actually looks like the thing. So
Nice.
it's a really nice move. It's just like I think Quinn does the Hurricane Run, and then he sends the guy into Cassie, who then catches them with a cutter. It's a really nice move. I like it as a finisher.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Nick catches Cassie with a super kick, and Quinn hits Quinn with a knee for a 2 count. Quinn reverses a Meltzer driver and a roll up. Then Matt reverses that into a roll up, and then Quinn reverses again for a 2 count. So roll up into a roll up.
There was some sloppiness before the second Meltzer driver attempt. I don't quite know what it was, but there's always a bit of sloppiness with
Nick
Private
hits
Party.
a super kick on Quinn, and then a BTE trigger by the Bucks for the win.
Looks awesome.
So then the Young Bucks win the match, but then FTR attack. They had a smash contraption.
And they're going after Matt's ankle.
Yeah.
And making Nick watch.
I predicted it, and Hangman makes the save. Yay.
Right.
And then Kenny walks out kind of afterwards.
Yep, Hangman comes out and saves him with a drink in his hand.
And I just wrote a decent match, but it had, like, little point for me.
I didn't love this match, and I have that there was some fun stuff in it, but it wasn't as fast or as crisp as I'm used to AEW matches being, and I was like, we're basically an hour or whatever in, and maybe I'm just not in the mood for wrestling today because I really haven't liked anything so far on this show, and that is very rare for AEW.
Yeah.
So I'm like, is it me? Because they put out a great product every week, and I am so far not enjoying it, but we'll see how the rest goes.
Yeah.
I like the stuff after the match, actually. The interaction between Omega and Paige, that dynamic is cool, but the match itself, again, it just left me, it's lacking something for me this week. I don't really know what it is, but I'm hoping we make up for it at Full Gear tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was, like I said, it's a pretty good match, but, like, there wasn't too much point there for me.
No. It was just to get to the end part, I think, for the most part, right? Is to just, again, they're furthering stuff for Full Gear, which they did a good job of on this show. It's just I had some issues with other stuff.
Yeah. So then we had Jon Moxley versus Eddie Kingston face-to-face. They're not allowed to hit each other before the match. Kingston says he's going to destroy Mox, take the title, says he's going to bring the title to his mother and say this is why she has no grandchildren and whatnot, because the title's all that matters, which I thought was a pretty nice line, and says he had to sell out to get to the top. Mox says he was happy when Kingston joined AEW, and Kingston's like, were you, right? Like, because the whole, like, Mox left him, whatever.
Yep, left him
Mox
behind.
says he made a promise to Kingston's mother to look out for him, but now he's broken it. Mox says Kingston has been running his mouth because after 18 years, Kingston is in the ring with the best and realizes he doesn't belong, and Kingston made a promise to his mother that he can't keep.
Right.
And then Kingston tells Mox that he better be ready to kill him.
Yeah, he's yelling that at the end. I thought was cool.
Yeah, just you better be...
You're going to have to kill me. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
And then Mox says Kingston will be alone with his ego after he's forced to say I quit. And I just wrote a short segment, but I thought it was pretty good.
The intensity was crazy. The fact, like, I always try and think of, like, if I had to be a wrestler, what are some things I couldn't do? And there's lots, believe me, that I couldn't or wouldn't do. And the fact that they're, like, literally touching noses while like Kingston's yelling in Moxley's face with his nose touching his nose, like, and I'm not just saying that because pandemic era. I couldn't do that in any era. Like, just have a guy, he's leaning his face against yours and just yelling at you, right? So
Yeah, they just look crazy.
I thought the intensity was good. I really liked him yelling, "You're gonna have to kill me," or "Get ready to kill me," or whatever it was at the end. I thought that was really strong.
Or Kingston's not gonna quit unless you literally just like absolutely annihilate him.
And even the way they blocked it, right? At one point they had Kingston turning his back to Mox while Mox is behind him still talking.
Yeah.
And so Kingston's closer to the camera, and the facial expressions that he's giving are
this
fantastic, right?
Really good.
I thought it was good. Again, we're building pretty much every match on the card throughout this show.
This match
and this
has
was
been
a good job.
so like perfectly built. Like at the first when they announced this, I was just like, okay, and then they've just been building it perfectly each and every week, and it's amazing. Like how like you can see a match and then you'll be like whatever, and then the more time they have to build it, they just make you like, now I like really want to see this match,
because this is an emotional thing they're doing here, right? And it's not even like Eddie Kingston's...
It's the perfect stipulation for these guys too, right?
And Eddie Kingston's not a fantastic wrestler. I'm not saying he's bad, but he can talk the money out of my wallet, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
With his promos. And Moxley is excellent at promos, and I think Kingston's like a couple rungs above him even. So it's just give them a few minutes to talk every week, and it builds my interest in a match that if it was just thrown together, I wouldn't really care that much. But these two guys have built it. I really want to see it for sure.
The thing you said about Kingston not being the best wrestler, and that's why I think this match is so perfect, because an I Quit match, that's the exact kind of match that he will excel in. And Mox is a good wrestler and a good like kind of hardcore wrestler, so he'll be perfectly at home here too. So I just think it's a perfect match for these guys.
I am looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm excited for this.
And then what's next? Because it's something that comes up almost every week when I listen back to our podcast. This man's name comes up, and I get excited.
We finally got a Pac vignette. Did you take notes on this?
We got Pac back. I just basically said that he talks about being in isolation for 7 months.
I know you'd like to cover this.
And there's kind of like cool music and camera cuts and some visual stuff they're doing.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of him in the background where he's just sitting on the couch. I think he was staring at when Kingston brought Lucha Bros into his faction, kind of saying like they were his crew and then now they're not. So
and I think the point is like he's kind of snapped in 7 months of isolation, and that he's basically been doing nothing but training and getting more obsessed with wrestling.
Yeah, he says he gets stronger and faster every day.
So I really like this, and I'm clearly biased because I love Pac. He might be literally my favorite wrestler in the world at this point. So I really thought the presentation.
Yeah, and you just kind of forget about him when he's not around, right?
It's almost like they're adding someone to the roster at this point, right? Because he's been gone for so long, and I love debuts and I love new matchups and new people. So I think he looks fantastic, and this was an interesting, quick reintroduction, and I'm pumped. I was totally fine with this, but one of my favorite things on the show, probably.
Yeah, and I'm almost disappointed that this is all we got. Like, it was really good.
It was almost nothing, but I'm still super happy about it.
I'm just happy that we're at least acknowledging Pac. And if we're getting like Pete Dunne coming back to NXT when he was trapped in the UK, surely there's some way they can bring Pac in, right?
Here's hoping, because there's a whole bunch of matches that I would love to see that guy have, and I would love to see the Death Triangle back together somehow. But
I would like to see even just him and Kingston having like a mini feud over the like. Because, with, like, Death Triangle, like, they say, oh, they're in a faction with me, they're in a faction with me. And
there's lots of possibilities, and he's fantastic.
I would like Lucha Bros to turn on Kingston, then you get Death Triangle versus Kingston and Butcher and Blade. I think that would be kind of interesting.
Yeah, it would. That would make sense. They could do that. But anyways, we'll find out, I guess.
I think it would have been perfect that they have had Pac return in the tournament, but I think they were going for Hangman and Omega, and I don't know if they can bring Pac, so I guess
I still think he could have been one of the open challenge guys, right?
Yeah.
And put a title on him right away. Yeah, that's just me. I love Pac. So anyways,
Cody's the champion right now. Maybe Darby Allin doesn't win, although I think Darby Allin should win the title. I think.
I'm going to save my prediction. I'll give it to you later. But yeah, I mean,
I think he should.
We're baby steps closer to Pac wrestling again on TV, and I am all for that.
Pac. Yes.
So what's next?
We got National Nightmares interview. Allie interrupts until QT's cards are maxed out, which I thought was funny, and then Butcher and Blade attack.
So basically, she was just using QT for money and to buy her things, and now that he's no longer capable of doing that because his credit card. So it's them quickly sort of explaining what has happened and why she's sort of switched back to Butcher and Blade. And I guess it needed to be done because they just sort of made a change. It almost feels like another one of those.
Probably better for her. I like this better.
I do too, and I feel like it's another one of these times where maybe they listened to the fans, because it seemed like people generally were like, didn't get the association, didn't enjoy the Nightmare family. Is that what they were?
It was the Nightmare Sisters,
something like that. And it basically, many things that aren't well received, they're kind of anti-WWE in that way. They actually will alter plans and change things instead of telling.
Yeah, Dark Order sucked, and now they are cool boys.
Because WWE just says, no, we'll tell you what you like, and we'll just force feed it to you because we know you're going to keep watching our show no matter what, and we'll tell you who to like. And AEW is kind of like, oh, we're kind of listening, and we might make some changes. So this might be that.
Yeah, and much appreciated. Right?
It was a quick explanation, and it was fine, I guess. So then we get...
not much of an interview, but technically started as one.
And they're just sort of wrapping up loose ends, I think, right? Between Allie's move from one group to another.
Yep. So next we have Nyla Rose with Red Velvet, and Nyla Rose's nameplate says, and I wrote Vicious Vixens. I wrote ha 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 ha.
I had already forgotten about Vicky Guerrero. She's been gone for like off TV for quite a while. I'd forgotten that they were together, but I'm fine with it because she's a good mouthpiece.
Vixens.
Yep, Vicious Vixens.
It's so bad.
You do love it.
Okay. Corner shots by Nyla Rose, clothesline by Rose. Rose catches a dive into a beast bomb but releases the pin. And then Rose mocks Shida by hitting a running knee for the win. Nyla Rose wins. Vicky Guerrero promo, and then Nyla attacks Shida.
Yeah, it was a standard squash match with a message for the champion by using her finisher to end it. It was fine.
Yeah, I just thought it would be funny is if we ever get to go to an AEW show, if she's on it, we should start a Vicious Vixens chant. Be like,
yeah, that's awkward. First of all, it's awkward to say too. I still know nothing about Shida, and I like her. All we know is that she's a good wrestler,
and she has a kendo stick.
And this company has the ability to develop stories and tell really good stories, and it's just like
this story is just like, oh, they had title match earlier in the year. Now Nyla want rematch.
And the match might be good, so I won't complain too much. But again, we need to add some details to what we know about Shida.
I don't mind either of these people, but neither of them are super interesting to me. So honestly, like, I hate to say it, but I'm not super excited for this match.
It's not one of the ones I'm most excited about, but I think it could.
And I think the rest of the card's so strong. We'll take a look at it just because there's a full gear, like they advertise all the matches. So I'll talk about that.
I already made a list, buddy. It's in any other wrestling business, loaded and ready to go, complete with a chart for us to make predictions.
Nice.
Prep work done.
So then we have Hangman Page versus Kenny Omega hype package, and you were surprised by this. We got Don Callis appearance.
Yeah, he weighs in to give his opinion on this match.
And then Tony and Excalibur also weigh in opinions, and then we get a Kenny and Hangman highlight reel with a cheesy song.
Yeah, there was like a cheesy rock ballad. I forget which one it was. I think it was
funny.
Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone. And it was kind of amusing to me because, again, they're making that choice on purpose. They know that the effect that has, I think. So I thought it was kind of funny, to be honest.
Yeah. So, yeah, just building some more hype for what's going to be a great match. So, quick full gear card update because they're just advertising on the matches, so I obviously wrote it down. Kenny Omega versus Hangman Adam Page, Eliminator Tournament Finals, obviously.
Yep.
John Moxley versus Eddie Kingston, AEW World Championship I Quit match, of course. FTR versus Young Bucks, AEW World Tag Team title match. If the Young Bucks lose, they won't challenge for the titles ever again. Hikaru Shida versus Nyla Rose for the AEW Women's title. Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara, Elite Deletion.
So I'm guessing that's a Cine match, I'm thinking.
But you love the deletion, so...
Yeah,
this should be
I'm
good.
open to
and
it.
Sammy Guevara does some good stuff, and Matt Hardy's good, too.
Yep.
Cody versus Darby Allin for the TNT title. Chris Jericho versus MJF, and if MJF wins, he's in the Inner Circle. And Orange Cassidy versus John Silver, which seems to be moved off the buy-in.
It has.
So... I mean, good
it's
for
been
them.
Replaced with the NWA Women's Championship.
Yep, which is Serena D versus Allison Kay for the NWA Women's title. So Serena's actually defending against like an actual NWA person. So cool.
That's something I could have talked about in new. Oh, sorry. What was you have another matches?
Penta L0M versus Rey Fenix next week on Dynamite.
Oh right, I was gonna say what they added that to the pay-per-view.
Penta versus Phoenix 2. And I'm just like, thank you.
Yeah,
AEW.
I'll watch that anytime they want to put that on. I'll be there for it.
I just realized then maybe Pac's like, yo, why you fighting? We's the Death Triangle homes. And then they beat up people.
I just want to see Pac wrestle.
Yep.
Anyways.
What's next? The Brutalizer. No, I need a Black Arrow. Real bad. Butcher and Blade versus Natural Nightmares next week. Woo.
Yeah, okay.
Man. I'm predicting that's going to be the opener.
Yeah, I would. I don't know. Maybe it's not. I'm not thrilled about it, but they could pull off a decent match. I guess.
they did Wardlow and MJF versus Ortiz and Guevara this week, so
True.
it wouldn't be too surprising.
Yep.
We had Darby Allin vignette, car hood spray painted face of TNT.
Yeah.
Weird music, Cody paper mask, and then guy wearing Cody mask gets run over by Darby driving the car, which I thought was funny.
I enjoy these. They're really odd, really short segments where there's nobody saying anything.
Yeah,
right?
he doesn't even say anything, but they get the point across.
Darby Allin doing weird stuff, like
with that mask and then the car with the.
And weird stuff's not a nice way of saying it, but it's just like this is what he does in his free time, and I feel like it's pretty much whether he's in character or not. This is stuff he probably does, right? So it's super different from anyone else. It's presented that way as well. There's no talking, there's no explanation, there's no context given, and I think I like that. They don't feel the need to hit us over the head
need it, right?
with what this means, right? It's just like, here it is, take what you want out of it, and I kind of enjoy them all. It's like they're never longer than what, a minute probably.
Yeah.
And I think they're kind of cool, and it's unique to his character, and his character is pretty interesting.
I found it funny when he ran over the guy with the Cody mask. I thought that was pretty funny.
No, and those, I don't know, those paper masks that he makes of people, I think they look cool every time still. So I enjoyed this. It's not even that they look
cool, but like they just look so like for his character.
Yep, they make total sense. I liked it.
Yeah, it was another great Darby Allin segment. Just like, it's amazing how you can get the point across just so easily without having to like say anything or like even.
Well, if it were WWE, the commentary team after that segment, right, would be beating us over the head with what that segment means, because we're not smart enough to figure it out for ourselves. It's not even acknowledged
by the commentary team, I don't think.
So they will just tell us, this is what you're supposed to take from this. And AEW is like, hey man, we think you're kind of smart. You can probably figure it out for yourself. So here it is. Think about it.
Here, it's like it's almost kind of a transition from like the advertisements to our main event.
Yes. So the main event is
Cody and the Gun Club versus Dark Order, which
Cody,
is Silver, 10, and Cabana.
And who?
The Gun Club.
In a main event. No, thank you. That was my first note.
Billy and Austin Gunn.
No,
yeah.
No, thank
you. It's
you.
because they're in the Nightmare family now, so you got to get them in the match. Got to be in the main event.
Yeah.
Obviously.
This was one of my complaints about this show, but go ahead, talk about this match with the Gun Club in a main event. Go ahead.
Do I have to?
Yep.
I don't
just quickly. It's not very. My notes weren't long, but
I'm confused why it's not Silver and maybe Reynolds.
Yeah.
I would like kind of 10 Silver and Reynolds. I don't know. I kind of like 10 for some reason.
Yeah.
And he just looks cool.
Yeah, he's cool.
So Cody versus Silver to start. Silver slaps Cody. Fireman's carry drop by Cody. Austin Gunn tags in. A flip over facebuster. Billy Gunn tags in. He is tall. John Silver flexes. Cabana tags in. Bionic elbow by Cabana. Billy counters corner attack into a back suplex. Austin Gunn tags back in. 10 tags in. Silver gets a cheap shot. Spinebuster by 10, which looked really nice. A pump kick by 10. Cabana is now legal post-commercial break.
Right.
Billy Gunn hot tag. Famous error by Billy, but Silver breaks the pin. Cody hits a scoop slam on Silver. Dives to outside on Cabana. Ripcord cutter by 10 after a corner kick by Silver, which I thought was really cool.
10 gets some cool offense.
Right? Like,
yeah.
I low-key like him. Like,
he can pull off some moves. I don't know about the rest. I'd have to pay more attention, but he can pull off some cool-looking moves.
Yeah.
And he's big, dude.
If he's on Dark, like, I'd probably check out his match. Like, I don't know, I just low-key like him. He's done some cool stuff.
Yep.
Kind of like how you like John Silver.
I do like John Silver.
I like Reynolds too, just as like
I like them as a tag team.
Yeah.
I think they're really good.
Cody launches Silver into the crowd. Austin Gunn gets a blind tag, a crossroads on Cabana by Austin Gunn. And then the quick draw, which is like a hip toss and a neck breaker. Oh my god, that's not a finisher. And Cody and the Gun Club win.
The quick draw is a cool idea, but it doesn't...
It's not impactful enough.
I don't know. I don't feel like he exexecutes it that great.
And
it doesn't look impactful.
Yeah,
it looks like you're sort of easing him to the ground with the neck breaker. It almost looks like if you released the arm drag, it would be more impactful. You know what I mean? So anyways... a decent match, I guess, but this is not a main event.
Yeah, and then Dark Order's mad.
I have no interest in the Gun Club or the Nightmare Family. I found this a really odd choice for a main event of a go-home show, especially when the Gun Club don't have anything to do with anything on the pay-per-view. Am I correct? They're primarily
Dark competitors.
Right, so...
In fact, I've never seen Austin Gunn wrestle. You know why? Because he's been on Dark the whole time.
Not a fan of this main event.
He's always in the crowd.
What about the show overall before I...
Oh, and then Cody says Darby would be a good TNT champ after Darby saying, oh, TNT don't want him as face
Right.
of TNT. Oh, and Silver tried to hit him with a chair. Cassie hits an orange punch. And then he said he solely recruited Darby Allin, and then over dramatic Cody, blah blah blah. And then I just wrote a
I
decent.
didn't even write any of that down.
I just
must have
wrote
blocked it out.
decent show, but an underwhelming main event, and I wrote B show.
All right, so for me, I was not impressed with this show. This was a go home show, and they didn't. So they contributed to a lot of the matches, but
My favorite was the Moxley Kingston segment.
some of the builds were okay, but then a lot of the wrestling I found wasn't great for me. Mox Kingston stuff was really good, and I'm already interested in that, though. The tag opener, the Miro Trent match were just fine. Nyla Rose had a squash. Buck's Private Party was just okay. The main event wasn't good, in my opinion. Taz was good. Omega Page packages were pretty good, minus the sound issues. It was awesome to see Pac. But I thought this show kind of dragged, and it never does for me. So I'm giving it a C, which is one of the lowest grades I've ever given Dynamite. I was not very happy with this show, if I'm being honest. So anyways, sounds like you weren't either, because B's a low grade for you as well. I'm almost never below
I
a
would like
B.
even maybe go B minus.
Yeah, I'm almost never below a B with this show, but I've caught myself checking the clock a little bit, right? And that never happens watching Dynamite, where I'm like, how much is left? Oh, 18 minutes left, or whatever, 28 minutes left.
Right.
I don't normally do that, and I did here. All of the matches just sort of didn't hit the level I'm used to on this show, but that's okay. Everybody has a bad day or whatever, and maybe it's just me. Again, maybe I wasn't in the mood for wrestling that night, but it's a C for me, regardless.
Yeah, that's a shame, but I mean, not
trying to be fair, right?
Yeah, not every show's gonna be good.
And it's just me. Everyone else may have
But maybe
loved
the
it.
pay-per-view will totally make up for it.
I'll listen to a bunch of reviews after we're done this, and I'll see what all my favorite podcasts feel about it. Maybe they disagree with me. Could be. But anyways, that takes us into, I think we'll do Jack Fact number 2 here.
Yes.
So you've got on the same theme, which is what, unrecognized?
Title runs,
All right, so tell me, educate me.
Rockers.
I like the Rockers.
So the Rockers defeated the reigning WWF World Tag Team Champions, the Hart Foundation, in a 2 or 3
this
Falls
I knew
match
too.
at a live event in Fort Wayne, Indiana, on October 30th, 1990.
And it
They
just,
won the titles during the match, but the top rope broke, and much of the match would have to be cleaned up and reorganized to be shown on TV.
oh, I don't think I knew the details.
The Rockers, I didn't, but I had to Google it a bit.
Nice
Wikipedia.
research,
The
buddy.
Rockers would defend the titles against Power and Glory, Paul Roma and Hercules, on November 3rd. Shortly after, it was decided that the title change would not be aired, and the championships would just revert back to the Hart Foundation, and that's why the Rockers' title win was never officially recognized by WWE. But unlike the Inoki thing, it's more one of wrestling's more infamous kind of not title runs.
Yep, people know about that one a little bit. And the Rockers, man, if you go back and watch the time period the Rockers were in, they were really ahead of their time, right? Because if you watch like a standard tag match from back in that day, it's pretty slow, it's pretty plodding, it's a lot of like striking, grounding, pounding, whatever. And they were like flying around and really fast, both of them super athletic. They were very ahead of their time. Like you could pluck them from the 80s or whatever, early 90s, whenever they're, and drop them into now, and they could still hang today, which you can't.
Yeah, just not the gimmick maybe,
No.
but like their style.
Yeah, you can't,
absolutely.
Like you can't say that about a ton of tag teams from that era, that you could just drop them in 2020 and they could hold their own still. That's cool. All right, so you ready to do off the top of his head for this week? So you, again,
Sure.
as always, you have no idea what's going on. I don't know why I got into this. I went to a WWE stats site. I can't remember what it was right now. I should always write this down, but I never do. So anyways, I started just looking at different stats and things, and I got looking at longest matches, wrestling matches. So
Okay.
I didn't keep them in order of like, here's the longest and going down. I started that way, but it basically ends up being all Royal Rumble matches, right? So I've got a few of those in there, but then I skip a bunch, and it's just generally long matches that are on record as being some of the longest
Iron
ones.
Man matches.
Right, and there's a bunch of those too. So starting it with some pay-per-view matches. I'm going to give you the match and the time, and if you can tell me the winner and anything else you'd like to tell me about it, okay?
Sure.
So the longest one, do you know what it would be actually?
Probably not.
Greatest
Some Royal Rumble.
Greatest Royal
Oh yeah,
Rumble.
right.
So it was 1 hour, 17 minutes, 17 seconds, and who won that?
Braun Strowman, and Daniel Bryan like lasted almost the whole thing.
There you go.
And got his chest absolutely blistered.
I knew you know
Remember?
details. Perfect. I don't remember,
Like,
but this is why we do
It
this
literally
segment.
looked like Ilya Dragunov.
Oh, yeah.
when-
5-star
that
match from Meltzer.
Yeah.
Rare for a North American
Yeah,
match.
and
Or,
Braun
sorry, for a
Strowman got a
non-Japan match.
Braun Strowman got like a green strap belt that we never saw ever again.
Oh, nice. All right, so that went well. That's good. So next
And a
is
trophy.
The 30-woman Royal Rumble from 2019 at 1 hour, 11 minutes,
Becky Lynch won.
22 seconds. Very correct.
And she took like Lana's spot when she got attacked or something, or like something happened to her. But yeah.
Here's one. It brings up a name we'd rather forget at this point. 40-man Royal Rumble in 2011 at 1 hour, 9 minutes,
Alberto
50.
Del Rio. I just saw a page thing that revealed some not good things. Apparently, he's still in jail.
I'll say allegedly, but it sounds like he is an absolute monster of a human being, and it's too bad because my God, was that guy talented.
Apparently, he's still in jail.
I wouldn't be surprised based on what she's reporting and a couple other he has a long list of things that he's done that are not cool, and I think he's probably done with wrestling if he's a free man. Even
I think wrestling's done with him.
I don't. Yeah, that is. Probably a very
I've
good
heard
way
that's
of
a
putting
possible life sentence for him.
Yes. So I'm sorry his name came up, but he's part of our trivia.
I thought you were gonna say Chris Benoit's Royal Rumble win.
No, but
based on
him too. So now I'm gonna skip a whole bunch of Royal Rumbles to get to some other longer matches that aren't Royal Rumbles. So WrestleMania. This one might be hard. I don't know. WrestleMania 12, 1996.
Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart. Shawn Michaels won. He was wearing a white attire, and I have a figure of it.
So it wasn't hard. Okay.
He won 1-0 in overtime.
It was 1 hour, 1 minute, and 25 seconds. Because it went into overtime. Exactly. Yep. So here's one. Survivor Series tag team match from 2016. So I'll give you the teams. I think that these two guys.
Is it men or women?
Men's.
Okay.
So I'll give you the captains.
So it was Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, Braun Strowman, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns for Raw, right?
Oh my God, yes.
And then for SmackDown, it was Shane McMahon, right?
Yes.
AJ Styles.
Yes, I had him as
Dean
a captain.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, and James Ellsworth was a mascot.
Wow.
And he was under the ring, and then he held on to Braun Strowman's foot, which got him eliminated by countout, and then he got thrown off the stage.
Wow.
And Dean Ambrose got eliminated, but then was angry at AJ, so attacked him, and then they Shield bombed him through the table.
This is what we're dealing with, people.
And this was in Toronto. And Shane McMahon went for a coast to coast, and he got hit with a nasty spear, and that's how he got eliminated.
I thought at best I would have
Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt were the sole survivors.
I thought at best I would have to give him the captains of the team, and he might be able to pick out a couple members of the team, but apparently he remembers every second of the match, basically.
Oh, and this was in Toronto. Did I already say that?
No, you did not.
It was in Toronto.
Here's one to throw you. New Japan Wrestle Kingdom 11, 2017, a 46-minute and 45-second match.
Was it Okada and Omega?
Yes, it was. Very good.
I'm going to assume Okada won.
Incredible match. I believe
because Omega only won the last one. That's when he won the title, right?
Yes.
So
yeah. That was an amazing match. All right, very good. That was when I threw in just non-WWE to try and catch you. Iron Woman match for the WWE Women's Championship, 34 minutes and 16 seconds. Sorry, I didn't get the
Roadblock
year.
End of the Line, 2016. Was it Sasha and Charlotte?
No.
Oh, really?
Charlotte's right. I didn't write the year down. I should have, because that would probably help you.
Who's the other person then?
Bayley defeated Charlotte.
In an Iron Man match.
That's what I have. You could be more right than the places I researched from, so who knows?
I know she had one with Sasha, so I'm going to assume Charlotte won?
No, Bayley. It said Bayley defeated Charlotte where I looked.
Huh.
We may have to fact check that one.
I don't know because I know she had one with Sasha at Roadblock End of the Line. I think that was overtime too.
So one of our millions of fans worldwide. Sorry, did I say millions or dozens? Either way, could fact check that one for us, and you'll be the first person to contact us. So feel free. So what did I have left? Elimination Chamber match for the WWE Divas Championship, and this is. Remember, I was typing this out while you were doing something, and I was groaning, and you said what? I said, just the people involved in a certain match I'm looking at.
Elimination Chamber Divas title?
Yeah.
What?
Is that real?
I don't think so.
Where did I find this then?
Because I don't think there's ever... No, because the first women's chamber match was in 2018.
All right, so then...
That's confusing.
I'm going to have to look that up. Where did I pull that from? Anyways, all right, so this one existed. Fatal 4-Way Elimination from WrestleMania 2000.
Rock, Mick Foley, Big Show, and Triple H.
Who won?
McMahon in every corner. Triple H won. I think he was the first heel to go over in the main event of Mania.
Very well done.
So, because there's like a lot of Hulk Hogan and
I figured that one was recent enough you would get it for sure, even though you weren't born then, but that doesn't usually matter. So here's one that's fresh in all of our minds.
I was -7.
The greatest match of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Quote, unquote, for sure. This is not me saying this.
Edge versus Randy Orton. Randy Orton won. And that was lame, and I did not like it.
Orton won the greatest match of all time?
No, Edge? Did Edge?
Edge did.
I forgot.
The reports I read.
It was so terrible.
So here's one from TV now. a couple from TV, just because the rest were pay-per-views.
Is there Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle?
No. So 2016 NXT 2 out of 3 Falls match for the #1 contender for NXT Championship.
Ooh.
Do you know?
No.
No. Nice. Well, think 2016 and pick a couple main eventers.
Finn Balor.
Nope.
Sami Zayn.
Correct.
Shinsuke Nakamura.
Nope.
Kevin Owens. Neville.
Nope. Samoa Joe defeated Sami Zayn.
Cool.
Here's one that I left these two for the end. So here's the last one I think you might not get. A 3-on-1 handicap gauntlet match from Raw 2013 that went 37 minutes and 20 seconds.
Participants.
Yeah, you tell me.
I don't know. What are they? Aren't you supposed to tell me and then I guess the winner?
No, I was thinking if you knew the participants.
Well,
so Daniel Bryan won and defeated 3 separate people. 2 that were affiliated, I believe, and 1 that kind of wasn't.
Who?
So 2013. I don't know. You're trying to guess.
Randy Orton.
No.
Corporate Kane.
So 1, 2
Triple
of them.
H.
One of them's in AEW now.
Corporate Kane.
Corporate Kane's in AEW now?
No, but I'm saying Corporate Kane in general. Rusev.
No. 2013.
Luke Harper.
Swagger, Cesaro, Ryback. I don't think you're going to get there.
Oh.
Anyways, good job on some of those were incredible. The details on the Survivor Series one from 2016 was a bit ridiculous, frankly, but good job. So that will end the off the top of his head segment, and next we will go into our next in-depth review of our weekly shows, which is our NXT review. So the show this week started out right away with Ember Moon's entrance without anything else, and then we get a quick Halloween Havoc recap before we get our first match of the evening, which is Ember Moon versus Dakota Kai. And basically we learned that Dakota Kai is not happy being considered a stepping stone by Moon, because Moon was saying that, you know, she doesn't expect to be thrown right back into the main event picture and that she needs to sort of reestablish herself. So Dakota Kai does not appreciate being considered a lesser star to sort of reestablish yourself, and that's sort of the motivation for this match. So we get an armbar early by Moon and some reversals on the mat, and Kai ends up with Moon's arm, but then Moon counters with some head scissors. So more holds and counters, and this match is starting out really slowly, and I don't say that as a negative, because that is totally fine. Some of my favorite
That's how a lot of matches work, right?
Some of my favorite matches ever start slowly and build, right? So it's just an observation, not a criticism. We get a hair pull by Kai, and then Moon sort of returns the favor, just saying that she's sort of willing to do whatever at this point. She's maybe aggressive or whatever, been studying under Kushida's aggressiveness. Just kidding. And then we get a bit of a shoving match there. So a drop toe hold, stomps, and a senton in succession by Ember Moon. Both end up on the apron now, and Moon tries to pull Kai through the ropes sort of head first through the corner turnbuckles there, but gets instead pulled shoulder first into the ring post. So this leads to Kai starting to work on Ember Moon's left shoulder with holds, stomps, and whips into the corner.
Nice.
And I noticed here Kai's showing a little bit of different style, right? Usually she's a striker, and kicking, she's the captain of Team Kick, right? So this is more holds and submissions, which is kind of cool to see that she can work multiple styles, right? Because I'm a pretty big fan of hers. So we get lots of time on the mat with Kai applying lots of holds to that arm she's going after and targeting, until she's basically picked up. Moon kind of powers up, picks her up, and slams her. Lots of kicks by Ember Moon to take control. A springboard back kick by Moon, a kick to the head by Kai, a spinning forearm to the head, and a kick while Kai hangs over the apron. So it's this one where Kai's lying on her stomach on the mat, and she's sort of right close to the apron, and Kai then pushes her to spin her while she's lying down and hits her as she spins back. It's kind of a cool looking spot. It's hard to explain. I think it's part of Moon's repertoire now. She's done it a couple times her last couple matches.
Yeah.
We get a really nice suicide dive by Ember Moon. Really
yeah, she
fast.
just charges so fast and kind of low too. It's more like it's almost like a low pay.
It was like a missile, right? And I complain about a lot of suicide dives because everybody does them, but this one looked awesome. Plus the barricade and the plexiglass boards were right there, and Kai sort of got slammed into them from the impact. It looked good. So It looked so good. Moon goes for another one, but this time Kai moves out of the way, and Moon lands pretty hard there. I thought that was a really cool looking spot as well. So big fan of both of those suicide dives, and sometimes I'm not. We then come back from a commercial break, and Moon is hitting a spine buster on Kai for 2. Kai with an up kick, and then some sort of odd, remember this wheelbarrow face buster thing to Ember Moon for 2? Yeah, that was
kind of weird, but not terrible.
Oh, I not that I didn't like it, I just didn't quite know what to call it. It's one of those ones where I do my best description and put a question mark after it, right?
Yeah.
And hope that you have some sort of actual name for it, but I don't think you do either. So then we get a big head kick by Dakota, and then a code breaker by Moon sort of out of the corner right away for 2. The camera has caught Kai talking to Moon twice now. Like they've sort of been just sort of unlucky where Kai's sort of given instructions and the camera sort of picked it up. I noticed. I made a note of it on the second time I saw it.
Huh.
Kai gets baited into a strike exchange while they're sort of seated on the mat, but then Moon sort of turns it into, as Kai starts to engage in the striking, Moon quickly applies a crossface, sort of baited her into this situation. We get some crucifixes and kickouts and an armbar applied by Dakota Kai, and Moon gets to the ropes, strikes and stomps by Kai, and Moon is starting to fire up here. She gives a little bit of a scream, which I thought was awkward and a little bit Shotzi-ish. I didn't think we needed it as she fires up.
I mean, she has done that before, but like
she has.
It's still stupid.
And she unloads strikes and kicks on Dakota Kai. We get a running back elbow, a hip toss, and a corner forearm all in succession. Moon climbs the ropes, but then we get Gonzalez sort of inserts herself here for the first time. She hasn't had to do anything yet. She distracts Ember Moon just enough. Kai hits a sick move out of the corner for the win, and I was hoping you were going to explain that.
It's like the draping kind of GTK that she used, I think, on Rhea Ripley the one time.
And it looked really good, I thought. So I really enjoyed this match. It started off slowly with Kai working submissions rather than striking. Then it picked up. We had some really nice moves. Moon's dives outside were awesome. And I actually liked the finish. There's just enough interference from Gonzalez. Kai still looks strong. Like she can hold her own, right? She just needed that little distraction.
Yeah, that little kick, kind of.
And
no pun intended.
Dakota Kai is awesome. And Ember Moon looked good here too. I thought this was a really good start. And if I'm looking at head-to-head with Dynamite, I much preferred this as my opener to the show. How about you?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I like that draping DDK because it looks pretty cool. And with all the limb targeting, Kai's showing that she can kind of do multiple kind of styles, so that's good for her. And it just shows it's a further testament to what great of a talent she is.
I think she's like kind of in the chamber, right? And they can pull the trigger on her whenever they feel like they need some help at the top of the card in the women's division. She seems to be able to work with everyone. I like her promos. I like her look.
Shotzi.
I like her pairing with Gonzalez. So I am a big Dakota Kai fan at this point.
Yeah, same here.
Anyone that listens to this podcast probably knows that already. So then we have good old Grimes is backstage, and he's asked how he's doing after his match last week.
Yeah, and he gets like startled by the interviewer, which really annoys me.
Yeah, he's all jumpy and nervous now, and I'll get into I was complaining before about WWE commentary beating us over the head with stuff, and that will come later when we talk about Grimes again.
Haunted House of Terror, blah, 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 blah.
So Grimes has a bit of logic here. He says he didn't really lose, and it's something we pointed out, right? He wasn't pinned.
They didn't even ring the bell. Like,
no.
Usually passing out is a valid way of losing a match, yes, but there's no even ref in the ring, really, right?
So I like this bit of heel logic, right? I technically didn't win. The match never really ended, which even though he was getting brutalized, he technically didn't lose, is what is in his mind.
And there's zombie interference.
He claims he's over the stuff with Loomis now, and he's focused on caving in Kushida tonight, but then the ref from the horror house, who was a zombie or whatever...
No, he's not a zombie.
He shows up behind Grimes, and now Grimes runs off screaming, right? So
which I hate.
I'm afraid that Grimes is going to be pigeonholed as a comedy guy. It's not bad for your longevity, right? Like, if you think about someone like Santino Marella and R-Truth, but it's also not great for your ceiling, right? You're never going to be a main eventer.
And Grimes, unlike Truth and Morella, has genuine in-ring talent. Like, he's really good.
I don't know if he has the potential of being a main event star, but I
think he would make a perfect North American champion.
That's what I'm saying. He's a amazing top...
I mean, like, perfect.
Like, mid-card heel / secondary title holder. I think he's perfect for that. And I worry that if they keep thinking he's really funny in comedy, that's going to be pretty much what he does.
That's going to be all they give him, right?
Which again means he'll probably have a job for 15 years, but you're going to be doing the same thing. You're going to be in the 24/7
crap
storyline if you get up to main roster or whatever. But anyways,
even a good wrestler who wasn't comedy like Drew Gulak has been sucked into that. Like, guys like that, even if you're not comedy, if you're even anywhere near the lower card, you're basically screwed.
And like I said last week with Grimes, you don't have to write comedy for him. He makes whatever you give him entertaining.
He's just
time,
funny.
Right? So I don't think you need to intentionally write for him to be funny. He'll just make it funny.
Because this isn't funny.
It was
It's almost
not my
ironic.
favorite.
Like, this isn't funny. It's like what he usually does is pretty funny.
Yes, it's not my favorite presentation of Grimes, and I'm hoping that they don't just keep doing this, going back to this well. But we'll find out.
Yeah, agreed.
Shotzi is then interviewed and asked about Toni Storm. So she's chosen. I guess she was rewarded for doing a good job at Halloween Havoc, so she can choose her opponent.
Though.
So she is choosing Toni Storm. She said she's always been a fan of Toni, and Toni's one of the best, and she just wanted to choose a huge test for herself, and that's why she chose her. She does a welcome to the ball pit and some
Yep.
howling to ruin an okay promo.
I,
She does have a unique kind of halting delivery, but the yelling and the screaming and the howling didn't do it for me. And I'm going to turn it over to Jack because he was angry typing at this
Yeah.
point. Go ahead.
So I wrote all caps, welcome to the ball pit, and then howl, and then I wrote, go away, Shotzi Blackheart, I hate you. And then I'm just a lot here, but she's just so terrible. And like, what's her gimmick besides being a werewolf and having a little kid tank? And then she hardly has any wrestling talent. Even if she did, her terrible character work is overshadowing it way too much. Get her off my TV screen. No one asked for this. She can stay on the indies as far away from NXT as possible. And I would really love to know who thought her signing was a good idea, because she's not benefited NXT at all, and if anything, has made it worse.
Sorry, Shotzi. I don't feel as strongly. I think she's got potential. She's gotten better, although we will.
Like, NXT hasn't been in the greatest state, like, in this TV deal, and she has not helped at all. Like, where's the benefit of her signing?
As a preview, I did not love her match this week, but we'll get into that because, I mean, listeners and you would know, Jack, that I have thought she's been a lot better in her
and like,
last 2 or 3 matches.
if she had, like, some actual talent, like, credit where credit's due, but I don't see anything here.
I think she's okay. I'm not a huge fan. We'll see how it goes. I'm not quite as passionate about it as you are.
She was okay in that one match with Dakota Kai, but like you said, Dakota Kai's like can kind of carry people, and then also like I said, the character work is just like it's so bad with all this howling and shouting these weird phrases that's like it's almost overshadowed. You know what I mean? Like it's just like
interesting you bring up her working with capable wrestlers because that will come up in my discussion of this match that she has on this show as well.
That's probably the thing helping her is like she worked with Dakota Kai, who's like probably some of the best they got. So that might be why she looks so good.
It could be. So we're moving into Kushida versus Grimes now. At first, I thought Kushida looked less serious on his entrance again. He was looking like he was having a good time.
Yeah, and I'm saying like he's wearing jeans or whatever, but like this hasn't made him more interesting. It's almost made him less interesting.
I find him so not interesting at this point.
Like, what did this quote-unquote serious thing do for him? He's not more serious, and he's not more interesting either.
He's not. So Grimes escapes right a couple times at the ropes. He's doing this sort of scared heel thing where he's avoiding Kushida to start this match. And this is where the commentary team starts telling us over and over about the lingering psychological effects. They spend so much time talking about the mental toll this has taken on Grimes that I put, I wonder what could happen in this match. Like, basically telling us, hey, the finish is going to involve him getting spooked by something, like, over and over and over again. It was driving me crazy. So anyways, Kushida tries to get Grimes' arm. We get some mat work domination by Kushida to start this match. Then Grimes takes a little bit of a turn grappling, but then and then he just starts stomping Kushida. We get some rope running and a nice hip toss into an arm by Kushida. Just the way he transitioned from one to the other, it was like so fluid and nice. I thought that was
he's
really
got some
cool.
decent moves, but like as a character, and he's just so boring. And then also like he's good in ring, but like what's special about him is like like.
I'm trying not to say much because you'll see my comments at the end, but I think
like,
I agree.
I just want to know what the hype was around this guy when he came.
And unfortunately, I wasn't watching New Japan as much at that time, right? So I didn't see a lot of him there to tell you, oh, he's amazing. So I can't say for sure.
And also, it's like, they also signed another Japanese guy before this. It was Nakamura. There's a lot of hype around him, and the hype was proven to be true. And like even not Japanese guy, but like Walter, the hype was true. And like Kushida just feels like, what was the hype all about?
Yeah, I'm
like,
not quite sure.
He's not terrible, but he's not special. He's nothing to like gawk at either. Like
nope.
I don't know. There's just something missing.
So you'll hear at the end when I evaluate this match, I have very similar thoughts to you. There's a submission applied, and I thought Grimes looks kind of dumb here because the ropes are like right there.
I noticed that. That was weird. You pointed that out.
He could put his foot like just roll it over 1 foot width, and you're in the ropes, right? And he doesn't. So we get an armbar faceplant and a drop kick by Kushida for 2. We get up kicks by Grimes, and he takes Kushida's arm, but it gets reversed eventually. More arm work by Kushida now until Grimes hits some punches to Kushida's back. And that sort of turns the tide a bit. A German is blocked and a roll through for 2 by Kushida. Grimes drops Kushida across the top rope now, and then we go to a commercial. We come back, and then we've got Kushida kicking Grimes before hitting his handspring back elbow. That sounds like it would be Riddle's move. Atomic drop, arm drag, cartwheel basement drop kick in rapid succession by Kushida.
Remember Zack Ryder, I think, had an elbow drop.
probably.
I think it is. That's what it's
Handspring
called.
kick to Grimes on the apron, and now he's on the floor. Kushida goes up top, but Grimes gets back in the ring, which I thought was weird, and basically walks into a crossbody from the top rope for 2. Grimes uses, I like this a lot, he uses a backslide, but it's to transition into a sit-out powerbomb for 2.
Yeah, he like lifts him back up.
It was really cool because he wasn't doing the backslide to attempt a pin. He was using it to transition into another
And like the ref kind of got
move.
down because even the ref thought he would, and then like he didn't.
It was a pretty cool move. Grimes places Kushida on the top rope and follows only to get crotched. We get a hoverboard lock off the top rope that actually looked kind of cool. A big punt to the elbow because he's just working this arm the whole time to set up for the hoverboard lock. And a German escaped and the ref is taken out accidentally. So we get the hoverboard lock is applied. Grimes is tapping, but there's no referee. Gee, I wonder what could possibly happen here. Kushida checks on the ref and Grimes hits his cool move that they still haven't named for some reason. Jack?
Oh yeah, the spinning crossbody thingy.
Yes, that they it's kind of like a C4 but a crossbody, and they don't know what to call it, and it looks so cool, and he does it every match.
Yeah,
like,
it's really nice.
I mean, maybe it's Grimes' fault. He needs to name it and tell them, but it needs some sort of name. Anyways, the ref that was in the horror house last week comes out to replace the knocked out one, and Grimes
How dare you? It was the haunted house of terror.
Sorry.
You should remember.
And Grimes gets spooked. What a surprise. Kushida applies the hoverboard lock, and Grimes taps.
You know what I said? I said, much like Shotzi Blackheart, this storyline sucks.
The match was pretty good, I thought, but the finish was telegraphed by the commentary team and just everything leading up to this.
Beating us over the
we
head.
saw him being jumpy and skittish. We're told that like 15 times in this match. There was no way there wasn't some sort of finish like this after all of the sledgehammering over our heads they did. This was going to happen. And here's where you were saying basically what I'm going to say now. If Kushida's character were at all interesting, his in-ring work would be good enough for me to like him. But it's not good enough for me to be interested in him on its own. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's not a bad in-ring worker. And if his character were cool, I'd be like, man, he's really good. But it's just his in-ring work because there's nothing else going on for me. And it's not quite good enough to keep me interested.
Yeah, he's just not interesting enough.
I don't care about his matches. I feel bad.
Like I said, where's the hype?
Yep. So we get Toni Storm now sort of responding to Shotzi. I guess she's flattered that Shotzi picked her, but she picked the wrong person because this is the new Toni, and she'll use Shotzi as a stepping stone.
You know that's true because she's a new entrant.
So another returning star using someone as a stepping stone. That's twice in this
all
show.
I wrote was Mino like Toni Storm. But I feel like unlike Shotzi, she's actually got some in-ring talent, and I'll talk more about that later.
I will reserve my Toni Storm critique for after her match as well.
Yeah, same. I'll reserve.
We get an Io Shirai package, and she speaks a lot of English for her and does a pretty good job. And basically, Ripley will be the next to face Io one-on-one for the championship. I think just kind of by Io's choice, it sounded like, right? She's basically like, the next person I will face is going to be Rhea Ripley. So it's sort of Io's choice at this point.
Which I mean, like, that's fine, but like,
I
would like some sort of number one contenders match, even if it's her versus like I don't know, Raquel Gonzalez again. Like, just something to make it feel like it's not like just, oh, champ want to face this person. Okay, this is title match now.
I also said it sort of creates a feud out of nowhere, but I guess it's this idea that Io's a fighting champion, and if you don't create an opponent for her, she's just going to find one because she wants to fight and defend this title.
I guess so, yeah.
And that's me sort of putting that on there. They didn't really tell us that, but I feel like that's the way they could go.
But that's not a bad way to look at it, at least. That it does make it seem better.
Right, so you guys can't find someone, I'll pick somebody because I want to fight.
Right, which I don't mind, actually.
So then we get good old Dane and Drake versus Everrise, the feud that just... The low card feud that just carries on. So Dane starts...
I noted that Dane didn't stop the theme this time.
Oh, right. So he's coming around slowly. That's the slow burn we're getting here.
And they beat us over the head again.
And actually, Drake and Dane are growing on me. I really didn't like it.
I just kind of
find
it as like some funny thing. And Everrise is like a decent team for them to just keep beating and beating.
They are.
Like the creative team, or no, the commentary team keeps beating us.
The poor man's FTR, I'm telling you. Everrise. Dane starts, FTR. And he and Drake use double team moves to take control, kind of teasing this, hey, they're starting to get along now and use some double team moves. But most of the double team moves involve like Drake taking some of the offense too, like getting slammed onto them or suplexed or whatever.
So like I'd call that Dane improvising.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool. Everrise get control of Drake and isolate him in the corner, and they do what they always do, like just simple, impactful moves with quick tags and isolation, like classic heel stuff, tag team maneuvering. Slow, methodical offense by Parker. Boot up by Drake. A low bridge by Drake. And he doesn't tag Dane here. He decides he's going to stay. And then this is where...
I figured it out, and then I forgot which one's Parker and which one's Martel. Martel's long hair, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Parker's short hair.
I remembered.
So then it goes to a split screen, and we see the McAfee with his group sort of arriving in a car.
It's another one of these things. They used to do them on, like, I think, like, the kickoff and stuff, where, like,
Yes.
they just completely ignore the match in favor of something they clearly prioritize more.
And that's the note I have, is that I'm not watching the match now because I want to see, I'm more interested in what's going on in the other screen.
Like,
and maybe that's their point.
I am more interested in Pat McAfee.
So they come to the ring and take everyone out, basically, and then focus, I'm talking about McAfee and his group, and they focus their attack on Drake and Dane while McAfee operates a camera, and then he has a moment where he sort of holds the camera so they can take a selfie. And then I just had a note, like, Pete Dunne's face when they're doing that selfie is so great.
Funny.
He's just so stoic and serious looking.
Yeah, you see, like, Birch and Lorcan and Pat McAfee going, like, yeah, we're the best. And you see Pete Dunne going, like, yeah,
and to me,
cool.
That's a special talent, because you have three guys there mugging for the camera, and the only person I'm watching is the guy that's not doing anything. Right. So that to me is some sort of charisma, right? Like, he's not trying to do anything, yet he's the one I can't take my eyes off.
Because he's a badass.
That's part of the Pete Dunne package, and he just has the face of, like, every movie villain. You know what I mean? He looks
he just
mean.
looks like a bad guy.
So I loved it. McAfee takes the mic and says there.
I like when he just looks cool. Like, he's got, like, the new slim look with the street gear, and then, like, the
super jacked
the
now.
hair tied up, and, like, he looks good, man.
He looks cool.
Like,
so McAfee takes the mic and says they're men of class and are professional. They are the kings of NXT, which I think is the faction name, which we're not big fans of.
I saw a suggestion on Instagram that they should be called The Brand, because McAfee's thing is for the brand.
He's all about his brand.
I'm just like, that's perfect.
I think so too. And they give tribute to the previous kings, the Undisputed Era, and it's sort of like they're forcing this passing of the torch, which I thought was a cool way to go. And so
but it's not really, because, like, this faction's cool, but, like, it's getting there. It's like, it's just in its infancy, and it's like, it's just been formed. And even then, I don't know if they could even compare to the Undisputed. They, like, because Undisputed had past history on the Indies, and, like, they just came unified. They've been, ever since they started NXT, they've been together, and it's just like...
But that's why it's heel work, to compare yourself to something where that comparison doesn't exist, like, right?
In reality, I think they're a long way from being in the same league as Undisputed.
And I like it.
They could get there. They could.
McAfee's, like, sarcastically acknowledging all of the stuff they've done, but sort of as this, like... You're kind of like has-beens, and it's over for you guys, and we're sort of the next...
And they reminded me of Roderick Strong's heel turn on Pete Dunne. I was just like... Oh, yeah. And then that's why Pete Dunne attacked O'Reilly. I'm just like, right.
He goes over all of Undisputed Era's credentials and mocks the fans in the process. I find his fan mocking is so basic and, like...
It's so forced,
clearly, to get heat. Like, he needs to get a bit more clever with that. But anyways, I get what he's doing. So Pete Dunne does actually speak, and he was basically trying to return the lesson he learned from Strong to Kyle O'Reilly. And I put, please give me a Dunne O'Reilly match. Please, please, please. I will watch that all day. So I don't know how I felt about Dunne talking. I don't think he needs to, and I think that's part of why...
I don't mind him talking little excerpts
little
like
bits,
that.
yes. But I think McAfee's going to do like 90% of the talking for this group.
Of course.
So the Undisputed Era, he says, became greedy, and NXT changed to keep them happy, and everyone else sort of got ignored, basically saying, you guys got all the attention for so long, and you were just getting this humongous... He even uses the word push, right? We noticed.
Andy said, like, over. And
right, so I don't know if that's intentional or he'll get his wrist slapped for that.
Words.
So Birch then gets the mic for a second and talks about being doubted and overlooked, and now they're champions. I think Lorcan's the only one who didn't have anything to say here. They prepare...
Well, he talked like... He had said a few words, but yeah, like a main part in talking.
They prepare to raise an Undisputed banner to the rafters, right? Which, again, is something you do when people retire. So it's this idea that...
Because they beat them up, right?
Undisputed Era is done and should just move on, and they're replacing them, right? So, but then they hold a vote right there and change their minds. They decide to throw the banner in the trash instead and set it on fire. And that's basically it. I said that if this were about half as long, or maybe even less, I would have really liked it. The attack and the beatdown were cool, but McAfee talked for way too long here. I feel like they sort of let him... almost freestyle it a little bit, and that he just kind of kept going, and to me it became rambling at some point, but I still think he has massive potential to be a heel. He just needs to rein it in. I thought this needed to be a lot shorter. We definitely didn't need to see this match again with Drake and Dane, and Everrise, so at least they picked, I think, a logical time to do this. I just, again, felt like it was probably about twice as long as it needed to, and that McAfee was just kind of rambling to fill some time, or just because he didn't have it scripted. Anyways, potential, but didn't love all of this. You?
The match was pointless, yeah, but I liked parts of the promo, but yeah, it was like it got way too long eventually, right? Like,
Yes.
yeah,
I liked some of their
you
logic.
gotta know when to do like a longer one and like a short one. Yeah, some of the heel logic was good.
Yeah, I like the whole idea of like they're over with and we're sort of the next big faction, and it's a passing of the torch that we're forcing them to make. But again, it could have been much shorter. So then we get Dane we get McAfee's group about to get back into their vehicle, and Dane sort of shows up trying to attack them to get some revenge. But of course, the numbers game catches up with Dane, and Dunn ends up kicking the door closed on him. And McAfee, I thought it was funny, he sort of says like, whoa, we'll talk about this later, almost like Pete Dunne went too far and is being too aggressive at this point, and I thought that was kind of funny. But they needed to get out of there right away, so they just hop in their car and drive away and leave Dane there, I guess, in theory. That NXT parking lot, man, it's a dangerous, dangerous place.
Ask Alistair.
If you look back over the years, there's
Yep.
many, many people. So then we get Johnny Gargano, and he loves wheels now. So he's
Which
playing.
I thought was funny.
Yeah, it is, because he won the match, right? So now he's over his
and
sort of.
and he got help. It worked out for.
Yep, he's over
Mr.
his feud
Gargano.
with wheels now. So he's playing. That's the game of life he's playing. So he
with the person.
He rhymes off his credentials and refers to himself as lover of wheels and maker of history, because he has had the title twice now. And then it quickly pans over, and we see the person he's playing the game with is whoever was in the Scream match that sort of injected themselves into his match and Candice's match, right, at Halloween Havoc. And it turns out they're sort of just sitting there together playing this game, which was a bit amusing, I guess. So Johnny will defend against a worthy opponent, and then they go back to playing the game of life. Kind of a weird segment. I found it a little bit amusing, and I just think Johnny's really good, right? So even if the idea for the segment wasn't exactly what I would come up with, I find he performs so well usually that I find whatever he's doing kind of entertaining, at least. What about you?
Yeah, I thought the wheel part was funny, and I don't know. Other than that, I didn't care too much for it, but
Okay.
it was all right.
So yeah, it's just this funny thing where he's sort of over dramatic, right? He hates wheels, and everybody knows that. And then he wins a match with the wheel and even uses it to help him with the DDT. So then all of a sudden now he's flipped the other way, sort of overreacting, and now he loves wheels and is the lover of wheels, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I thought that was,
Which I think is funny heel work. And
it is.
You mentioned the part where he said he's going to find a worthy opponent, right?
Yes. So I don't know who that is or what they're suggesting, but
Or if it's not even going to be a worthy opponent.
yes, him saying worthy, it might be somebody not worthy for sure.
Yeah.
So next we have the match that Tony Storm and Shotzi had been talking about, and that is up next. And we get right away basically an atomic drop and a kick by Tony Storm. And then I had to go back because Jack almost missed this, and then I knew he was going to laugh really, really hard. So Shotzi falls off of the ropes after a head kick, and I just have Jack laugh.
So funny.
It was a really, like, she fell hard. Sometimes when people slip off the ropes, they kind of land gracefully or half save it. She did not. She crashed and burned on that.
It was so funny.
It was a highlight of Jack's night, I think.
Yeah.
And then we get an Insigiri by Shotzi, and then what I always call the Jeff Hardy low blow, where she sort of has her opponent down on the mat, grabs the legs, splits them apart, and drops both of her legs on the lower midsection, if you will. Then we get a boot and a head scissors takedown by Shotzi, but she missed a corner senton, and Storm hits a nice running hip to Shotzi in the corner for 2. I thought it looked really good. The impact looked pretty cool there. We get a snap suplex by Storm for 2, forearms by Shotzi, and a slow reversal to an inside cradle. And this is kind of reminds me of the older Shotzi, where she does things, but she does them kind of slowly and not quite as snugly as I would like sometimes. So I haven't seen that in her last couple matches, but I kind of noticed it here. We get a boot by Storm and some more corner stomps. A submission on the mat by Storm that I thought was held for far too long. There was a couple times here where rest hold or whatever you want to call it, it was far too long in a hold that didn't look that painful. Storm, I find, has the And I made a note at this point. She has this weird habit of going for pinfalls after really basic moves. Like I feel it happened 3 or 4 times where she hits a move that would not take anyone down for a pin, but she still goes for a pinfall for some reason. So I just thought that's probably something I'll keep my eye on going forward if this is something she regularly does or if it was just today. But I thought it was a bit of an odd choice. Submission, sorry. Snapmare by Storm and yet another neck vice, so we're back to this like rest hold situation when we just had one. I thought it was too long. So much of just Storm holding Shotzi's head at this point. Back from the commercial with a shotgun drop kick that barely connects by Shotzi, so another kind of sloppy spot here with her. I feel there was a bit of a regression in her skills in this match. Bulldog and a running senton to Storm in the ropes for 2. German by Storm and another with an awkward bridge, right? You pointed out.
Oh yeah, it was really weird. So like she kind of landed on the side and then like put herself back in a place for the bridge.
Yeah, it was like she was rolling away from the bridge.
It reminded me of when Serena Deeb did that in the match with Layla Hirsch, I think
when
it was.
she like gave up on the arm and had to go back and take it.
Back, right? Yeah.
Shotzi escapes Storm's finisher and hits a Saito suplex that looked pretty good. We get a headbutt by Storm for 2, and Storm is knocked off the top and they strike each other. Head kick and a DDT on the apron by Shotzi that I didn't think looked super great. Both outside now, and there's almost a double count out, and Candice interrupts on the screen with Shotzi's tank, and we get the classic main roster distraction roll up. Gross, I put.
Can I cover the aftermatch one?
What do you mean?
The Candice thing.
Oh yeah, so I'm just gonna say I thought this was a slappy match with some lengthy rest holds.
Slappy? Do you mean sloppy?
Sorry, sloppy, yes. And the slappy match would have been Walter and Dragunov. That was sloppy. This was sloppy. With lengthy rest holds and was far too long overall with a lame WWE distraction roll-up finish. I've liked Shotzi's last couple matches, but this reminded me of the awkward slow Shotzi
because she had
before.
better opponents, probably.
Here's my Storm take, and I don't think you disagree. I really think she's overrated, and she clearly couldn't pull a good match out of Shotzi when others have, as you talked about earlier, right?
Yeah.
I'm missing something with Storm because after her entrance ends, she looks cool in her entrance. After the entrance ends, I don't find anything impressive about her at all.
Yeah. She's got a few decent moves, and that's it.
And a problem for me on this match is we have a direct comparison to what I thought was a really good match with Kai and Moon, right, from the same division. So I think stacked up against that, this match looks pretty weak, and I was not a fan.
Yeah.
Of
and
either.
then Candice comes back, and so she's like, and she sees a car coming, and then stops it. But then when she gets in the front seat, and I'm like, so then who drove it there in the first place? But then you can kind of see that scream mask person in the back, so I'm like, okay, maybe then it was that person. But they didn't do a good job of like showing that at least there was someone there.
Yeah.
And then she runs over the tank, and then she kind of fails at first, but eventually does, and then Shotzi's super sad.
Inconsolable is the note I had about
and
her
so
toy being
what I'm going to
over.
say is this was a boring match that was mediocre at best. And NXT isn't exactly in the best state. Matches and things like this don't help. And I've said it many times, I'll say it again. Shotzi is bad, and this was a wasted signing. And I can't be the only one who thinks this. And I don't like Tony either, but she has some in-ring talent, and I'll give credit where credit's due. And why is Shotzi's little kid tank so important that it causes her to lose a match and brings her to tears? It's just an entrance prop she could probably buy again at Toys R Us or Target.
And
she shouldn't be so sad about this. You wouldn't see Undertaker cry over his urn or Elias cry over a guitar. Like, is it really that important, a little tank?
And I didn't think it was the best look for Storm trying to console her as she's crying over her tank in the ring. I thought that was...
and why is she so sad over a stupid little tank?
So I liked Candice's involvement. Dumb. She's pretty much always entertaining right now, too.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she'll pull a better match out of Shotzi. I'm not thrilled about the feud, but I don't know. I'm hit and miss with Shotzi, right? There's been a couple weeks I quite liked her, so we'll see what Candice can get out of her.
The match was not good, and neither was this, why is she so sad over a stupid tank? This is dumb.
Well, we'll see. We'll see
it doesn't make sense.
See where it goes, and we'll see what Candice can get out of her.
Yeah, I guess. But unlike AEW, I don't trust AOWB, especially
There's less trust,
especially with Shotzi.
So then we get...
That was...
Escobar is walking in the parking lot, and he doesn't... Somebody says, a lot of people are saying he had to cheat to beat Jake Atlas, and he's just basically what I would wish they all say. I don't care what other people think, right? The bottom line is he won. So then Atlas drives up, gets out, and attacks them with a lead pipe.
Well, he hits, Raul Mendoza, and then chases away Wild, and then looks at Escobar, and then, runs away after.
Yeah, so he attacks one of them and then hops in his vehicle and drives away. I guess the point is that it's no more nice Jake Atlas at this point, and I guess that's...
Which is why he ran away.
Well, he randomly attacked people in the parking lot again. The parking lot is
He
a
hit
dangerous
one of them.
place, people.
If he was not being nice, he would just hit all of them.
I
but
guess.
like,
He's a
this is
third
weird.
less nice. So I'm interested.
I mean, he attacked one of the 3 people, so yeah, maybe a third less.
I'm interested to see what they're going to do with Atlas. I think he's a talented guy, but they haven't really done anything story-wise with him. So we'll see where they go with this, if they're trying to sort of move him up the card a little bit. But again, there's just something missing with El Legado del Fantasma to me. They look cool and everything, but they're just, I don't know. I need that
Yeah, and I
to
like
add
them,
something.
but there's something missing.
Like, again,
for
what
sure.
what is their alliance for? What do they believe in? That seems to all have kind of been dropped, and they're just 3 guys that
Our lucha.
are linked together somehow, I guess. But anyways, we'll see where it goes. So, decent segment. Didn't love it. I guess we'll see what they're doing with Jake Atlas at this point. Anyways. Then we get another live Thatch's Thatch Can lesson.
Which I was kind of excited, and I need
were excited
I
for
need a
that.
good segment like this after that crappy Shotzi thing.
We do generally enjoy these Thatch segments, and I find that they are, when I listen to other people talk about it, it's sort of a mixed review. Some people really like them, and some think they're awful and think Thatcher's just boring. I can see people thinking that, but I find him quite funny.
And I think he has a place on the card.
So since last week, he says Green, the student, got lucky and got a hold on him. Today he's going to focus on reversals and show how to get out of things like that. So he demonstrates how to reverse, I think, a guillotine, and obviously he hurts the new student he has in the process.
Yeah,
And
so like he has them in the guillotine, then goes to the mat, but then he goes to the side and applies like an Americana. I remember learning that. It's
Yep.
like some sort of arm bar thing.
Yeah. Oh, you learned that in Taekwondo? Is that what you're saying?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, and again, he's doing the thing where he won't release the hold, and the student's starting to get angry about it, and Thatcher tells him to go have some water, right? So then they start another demonstration where he's...
where the student has to reverse, right?
Right, where he's gonna... So he gets the student to reverse it, but then he...
And go to the side, but then he, like, does the ankle lock. So, like, it was really funny. I, like, laughed a bit because, like, he's showing him, like, a logical reversal, right?
Yeah.
And then when the student does it, he's like, psych, and then like reverses that, and I just thought that was really funny.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the student complains, man, you're hurting me applying the move. So Thatcher's like, okay, well, we'll switch jobs then. You apply, like, you can apply the hold, right? And or whatever.
Like the
and
reversal
then
hold, yeah.
he ends up reversing the reversal and putting the kid in pain again. So then we get Green, or
really funny.
Gray is his new name, I guess, right?
I think his name is August Gray now. He formerly Retro Anthony Green.
So August Gray attacks out of nowhere and super kicks Thatcher to the floor.
I actually discovered that I think he and Evolve's Kurt Stallion have been teaming on 205, or
Yeah.
they did on the newest edition.
So I guess we're getting this student versus teacher feud is brewing, and I'm still enjoying these Thatcher segments. I think
I love them so much.
he has this ability to be totally serious in what he's doing, but
it's still
funny. It is.
Yeah, kind of like Grimes used to do.
And I think that's sort of a special ability, right? There's not a lot of people that can do that, so I quite enjoy it.
And I think Pete Dunne kind of did that too when he was just like standing
Yep.
there. Or like I remember when the faction formed last week, and like Pat McAfee said the thing, and then Pete Dunne just like shrugs. He's like, meh.
Yep.
I thought that was funny.
No, Thatcher is I pretty much anytime he's on the screen, I find him pretty entertaining. So next we get Xia Li, and she explaining that the letters Boa has are from her family and they're
Which
personal.
I like because now we're getting context.
Yes, she needs to turn things around, and the content of the letters is none of anyone's business. And then just coincidentally, Regal shows up and hands her a new letter, and then she immediately reads the letter and says she needs to challenge Raquel Gonzalez next week for dishonoring her. So it's almost like this letter from her family has said, I guess the implication is that you were...
When would Raquel have done that, though?
I thought I was counting on you to tell me that. So I guess the idea is the letter's her family pointing this out to her, I think. Anyways, Regal agrees to the match, and it was short and interesting enough. So the letters now...
I find it weird that now Regal's so compliant to like be like, okay, you can have your match. Where like the one week he was like, I'll put into consideration, you know?
And I find it odd that he's the one, like, so Regal...
But now it's not Boa delivering?
Regal's the male guy at this. Like, the letter comes to Regal, and Regal delivers it just
But
as she's talking about it.
Why was Boa delivering the first one?
Yeah, so I don't know where these letters get developed. Just some random mailbox in NXT in the PC, and somebody grabs it and takes it to her, I guess. I don't... Anyways.
Yep.
So I'm still kind of interested in this to see what they're doing with it. And
yeah, for sure.
I kind of like Xia Li as a lower card in the women's division, so I'm okay with it. Then I get we get what I call a standard Rhea Ripley promo, accepting Io's challenge, and she knows that Io is
I
terrified
accept
of
the
losing,
challenge.
and that's exactly what'll happen. She'll leave the champion. I thought this was fine, but this seems to be her usual promos, right? They all kind of just blend together. They're kind of generic. I'm looking for some sort of development out of her, or something a little bit different, because I can't really distinguish one promo of hers from another at this point. And I'm kind of disappointed. I thought she was on a trajectory to be like the future of women's wrestling in WWE, and she's definitely not.
Yeah,
right
I think it really just hit a brick wall when Charlotte Flair screwed everything up.
now. Yeah, it
I think that
certainly
was
derailed.
really the turning point.
It derailed something from there for
yeah,
sure.
it's just like, and now she's like not doing anything. It's just like something happened. I think it was Charlotte's fault.
Could be. So then we get our main event, which is the Velveteen Dream versus Tommaso Ciampa. And
The funniest part was I thought this was the opener.
my first note is Ciampa better win this clean, in my opinion. Let's see. Just because Ciampa's sort of being rebuilt, I think, right now. And Dream is, again, I say it every week, I don't think he needs to be on TV. There's still some lingering questions in my mind. And I'm hoping that if they are using him, they're using him to put over other people at this point, because I really don't think they need to be focusing any attention on Dream. But that's just me. So Ciampa's trying to get a hold. So Dream still has the cast on his left wrist, I believe, right? So Ciampa's trying to get a hold of that and use that for much of this match. So he's trying to do that right at the start as well. Dream escapes to the outside. Ciampa then follows out and gets whipped into the barricade that looked okay. We get Dream executes a front suplex to Ciampa onto the barricade, and then a running knee from Ciampa. We're back in the ring, and Dream rolls right back out. There's a lot of this happening. Ciampa follows and chops and front suplexes Dream onto the announce table. Ciampa slams the casted arm on the table and rolls Dream back into the ring. So now Dream has a flurry and hits some corner shoulder blocks to gain control briefly, but he gets thrown over the ropes and back to the outside again. Ciampa brings him right back in basically and hits a German and aggressive sliding knee to the head, which I thought looked cool. He goes for the fairy tale ending, but Dream escapes, and Ciampa gets hold of the injured wrist again. We get this sort of creative arm yank, and face plant into the top turnbuckle. It's hard to explain. He basically, Dream's sort of facing into the corner, and Ciampa pulls down on his injured arm really fast so that his head ends up slamming off of the top turnbuckle. I thought that was kind of a creative thing to do. I don't see a lot. Dream's outside again, surprise, surprise. And Ciampa follows and stomps him into the steps. We're back from a commercial with Dream climbing the ropes and getting crotched once he's up there. Ciampa climbs up and they battle a little bit. Both come down after a Dream eye rake. Punches to Ciampa and a spinebuster. Taunts and poses by Dream, then mounted punches to Ciampa. We got a camel clutch using the cast by Dream, which I thought looked pretty cool. If you're going to target this cast, I'm going to try and use it as a weapon. I thought that was a pretty fair exchange. We get an escape from an event and an eventual series of clotheslines by Ciampa that looked really simple but also really aggressive. I thought they were cool. Something as simple as like 3 or 4 clotheslines in a row. They looked pretty cool. And then he finishes that up with a big corner clothesline, and he puts Dream on the top turnbuckle. He does this time hit his superplex for only a 2 count though, and then he goes back to the arm, but Dream gets a near fall there. Boot to the face by Dream, and he throws Ciampa back outside for the 100th time. Ciampa hops up onto the apron and hits a forearm, but Dream hits a crossbody to the outside. Back inside and a suplex to the outside, where Dream suplexes Ciampa over the ropes and doesn't release the suplex, and they both come over. It looked dangerous, but it looked like they pulled it off really safely. But I think maybe some lesser talents might struggle with that spot, because there's a lot could go wrong there, but they pulled it off pretty well. We get a super kick to Ciampa. Dream grabs a chair, but the ref takes it and throws it out. So Dream jumps from the top and takes a nice looking knee from Ciampa here. Ciampa uses another like transitional move that I really liked. He uses a roll up, but again, kind of like the backslide that Grimes used. He uses the roll up to transition into the Willow's Bell.
Yeah, I thought that was really nice.
He rolls him up and he ends up with his feet basically on the ropes.
A new use of thing we see like a lot.
Yep.
One of the most deadly finishers of all time, might I say. But yeah, it was nice to see a new use of this thing we see so often.
Yeah, it was pretty creative. So he rolls him, hits the Willow's Bell, and then immediately a fairy tale ending for the win. I thought this was a good match. My only complaint was that it was in and out, back out of the ring, into the ring. A bit much for me. Very cool ending segment, I thought. And Ciampa wins clean, which I wanted, and he looked aggressive. And I think we're building towards the Ciampa I love, but he needs to get even more aggressive. And he needs to get involved in a story where he really gets angry and snaps, because that's where we get the best Ciampa, right? So he just has to find that feud that he can really get dialed in for. So I thought it was a good match, a decent end to the show. What did you think of this match and the show? If you want to give your overall comments.
Well, I thought this was a pretty good match, but I think there was something missing. It just felt like, just from like Velveteen Dream, feuding with Kushida, kind of led to this feud.
Yeah.
So it just felt weird, but like overall, it was a pretty good match. A lot of in and out, yeah. But I thought the finish was pretty nice. I like that roll up into the Willow's Bell and then the fairy tale ending.
And a
was nice.
decisive victory for Ciampa, which I wanted.
Right, which is good.
Yep.
Overall, I would say this show was probably like, B plus, maybe an B plus, almost an A minus. Like I thought it was really good.
So you had it rated ahead of Dynamite this week, right? I think.
Mhm.
Overall, I thought this was an enjoyable show too, considerably better than Dynamite this week. The Kai Moon opener I thought was really good and was my match of the night, maybe on either show, I would think, off the top of my head it would be. The main event was good too. The Storm Blackheart match was not good in my opinion.
No, it was not.
The McAfee segment was too long, but parts of it were really good. Thatcher Gargano bits were entertaining, and everything else was decent. So I gave it a solid B, almost a B plus. And for the second straight week, I preferred it to AEW, which is a little bit surprising for me.
Yeah.
2 weeks in a row.
You and me both, but
I think
not
that's fair,
terrible.
man. What we're trying to say is trying to give people honest reviews, right? And trying not to be super biased in things. Because I mean, if we were just to embrace our bias, we would like AEW better every week. Because in general, that's the show we prefer. But honestly, I'm just trying to say, like, I'm giving you my honest opinion. This 2 weeks in a row for me, NXT has been more enjoyable.
Yep.
You don't disagree, I think.
I do not disagree. That I mean, it was a pretty good show, and yeah, AEW's not always going to be great.
No, everyone has down weeks, right? Overall, It's been a better show for the year, but there's been the odd week where it's not, and that's fine.
Yeah.
So we'll transition into any other wrestling business. Do you have
I
anything?
don't have anything, so.
Well, I got lots as always. So
Of course.
let's talk about Ring of Honor for a minute. So this is the finals of the Pure tournament this week. So I was talking to Jack about it earlier. I think I'll do one more week of Ring of Honor where it's because now the tournament's
Just
over.
to see, right?
To see what their actual show is, and then I may stop reviewing it from there if I get outcry from any fans that they want me to continue doing it. If you're like, hey man, the only reason I listen to you is to get at my Ring of Honor review, I'll be A, very surprised, but B, that would be great to hear. So let me know. Otherwise, it may disappear and I may make room for something else. I've been sort of in the back of my mind. But anyways, so this Quinn breaks down the road that Gresham and Williams took to get to the finals of the tournament. Quinn notes that Vincent and Matt Taven
Was there some hand gestures?
Oh, there was lots of hand gestures.
Oh, excellent.
And
Just checking.
She doesn't take a lot of breaths when she talks. She gets a lot in really quickly. I think she does a good job though. She talks about Vincent and Matt Taven, that they've been fined for their attacks the last couple of weeks on each other, and that their punishment will escalate if they continue to attack each other. So then we get a decent package covering the EC3 Briscoes and Shane Taylor and company, as they're calling them. And that's actually going to be the first match tonight as a 6-man tag match between these two teams, because they need to sort of supplement. They don't have enough with the Pure tournament. So it's becoming this sort of merging of their regular show and the Pure tournament into one. So that's the match we get first. And Shane Taylor and company win when Taylor hits his sweet-looking welcome to the land for the win. It's like a sit-out pile driver, you know what I mean? But he does it with a bit of a spin, too. It looks really good. I actually thought this was a pretty fun 6-man match. I have maybe seen Moses and Khan, which are part of Taylor's group. I think I've only seen them once or twice before, and I thought they looked pretty cool here. I like Shane Taylor in the ring, too, generally, so I think this trio might actually be interesting to me. So that's why I'm willing to check out the main show next week, just to see where all of this is going. So then there's a video package with each finalist in the Pure tournament cutting a serious promo. Again, I've really liked Hot Sauce's promos, and Gresham did a good job too. It's been sort of the highlight of this tournament is the evidence that they can put together really nice pre-produced packages, like serious promos for people, and I'm hoping they carry that over to their actual show, because it's been some of the best part of this tournament, I think. So these videos definitely made me want to watch this match more. They did such a good job, and they've really shown me that they can put together these strong packages, and that hopefully we see more of it. So we do get Gresham versus Tracy Williams for the Pure Wrestling Championship. So Williams has been sort of struggling with an injured shoulder, so he's back to wearing a shoulder guard this week, and that would come into play in this match. So obviously Gresham is seeking to work that shoulder for much of this match. Gresham eventually wins the match by submission, when shortly after removing his shoulder guard, Williams took it off near the end of this match. He gets caught in the octopus stretch and taps fairly quickly, because if you had a bad shoulder, you definitely would tap to that lock pretty fast. So Lethal comes down for a really long celebration with Gresham. Where
I like the visual of him with 2 belts.
It looks cool. But this, honestly, I'm so trained by WWE, and Lethal was down there for so long celebrating. You're just waiting for Lethal to attack him. Honestly, I thought there was like 50-50 chance, but he doesn't, which I like because it doesn't need to be like WWE. So this was a really good match for sure, but it felt pretty short to me because they had been saying the whole tournament, we're like, wait, once we get to the finals, the time limit's 60 minutes. I thought maybe there's a chance they fill the whole final episode. They didn't. But maybe that's because I was enjoying it that it felt short for a championship match, because it was good. I did enjoy it, and I think the right person won as well. I'm not surprised by the outcome. Overall, this tournament was worthwhile. Had a definite lull in the middle, right? Like, I loved the first 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah, I can tell by you and just like your reviews that like
they got shorter and yeah. And then the last couple episodes,
and that happens.
The last couple episodes picked up again. So I'm curious to see what they give us next week. And as I said, I may or may not cover it, but I give this final episode a B+ for a good main event, a pretty fun 6-man tag, and more solid video packages.
Nice.
All right. So before I do Impact, I did have one more thing, just maybe a rant, but more of I have a couple things, so let's talk about one. So in general, I just wanted to talk about Survivor Series and my issues with that pay-per-view and this whole discussion of the battle for brand supremacy and all of this nonsense, and how this is a complete waste of time, and this makes for me one of the worst pay-per-views of the year. And honestly,
except for last year, I think last year NXT made a good
helped. It did help,
and there was some good matches because I think also all the world titles were on the line. Like, that wasn't brand supremacy, and then I think NXT had a lot of good wrestlers to.
So my problem with it is stuff like this. One, the wrestlers throughout the year jump back and forth between shows fairly regularly. So
this year they've done better about that though, because they did the draft last year, and then it was like they used to do in like the like late 2000s and like 2010.
Yeah.
There was like the yearly draft, which is fine, but like they used to do that, especially with the wild card rule.
Right, and they would hop back and forth.
They've amended that a bit.
So I don't think the brand exclusivity is really that strong, because some people show up on multiple shows. Also, they had a draft where multiple people switched brands like a couple weeks ago. So how loyal are you going to be to SmackDown when you just spent the last 2 years on Raw?
Like, Rollins hasn't been on SmackDown literally probably since the 2016 draft.
Which leads me into my next point. The members of each brand switch every year. It's not like many of these wrestlers have been on the same brand for years to develop some kind of loyalty. Rollins being one of the exceptions.
If Rollins was on Team Raw, that would make sense.
So but I mean,
like,
yeah.
He's not.
So normally, like, they're not. It's not like they are on there for 5 or 6 years, right? They flip back and forth all the time. So Rollins is kind of the exception this year. So none of these matchups feel particularly fresh. The pay-per-views
the women's teams are weak.
Pay-per-views are never brand exclusive anymore, so we're used to seeing these wrestlers on the same shows anyways. Survivor style elimination matches are rarely entertaining in my opinion, and casual.
I miss like the good old, like, it's like you got 2 feuding guys and they want to like take it to another level, so then they like captain teams.
Right.
I miss that, honestly.
And I feel like casual main roster fans like me, I'm a hardcore wrestling fan, but a casual main roster fan for sure. I don't even remember who's on what roster anymore most of the time. So
I'm able to just based off memory. If I didn't have such a good memory, I probably wouldn't either.
So you're not attracting me to this pay-per-view by promising these matchups, because I really don't. I don't know. To me, it's just meaningless.
Like, for example, the world champions, Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton. Yeah, we've never seen that before.
Right? There's just, that doesn't really, I don't know. That's just my issue with the
Bobby
whole
Lashley
pay-per-view.
versus Sami Zayn, they literally feuded in 2018.
Yep, there's nothing fresh. Anyways.
Let me think. What are the tag champions? Oh, yeah, Street Profits versus The New Day. See, this isn't even, they literally just switched the titles, as if your point of this brand
So how
switching,
loyal are you to these
right?
championships when you literally traded them with the other team 2 weeks ago?
Right, like.
Anyways, not a fan of Survivor Series
Yeah,
and the whole
I
concept.
missed and I also, if there was NXT in this, I probably wouldn't be so against it, because last year it was proven that
definitely
NXT
freshened it up.
worked.
And they
like,
pretended that NXT mattered for a month or so.
I don't even care that they're gonna pretend that NXT is a brand. I would just want them to be in it for the matches. It'll help the matches so much if NXT was involved.
Not this year, buddy.
Yeah.
All
I
right,
guess
let's
so.
fly through some Impact Wrestling. I don't even think you watched highlights this week, did you? So you're
No.
relying on me to relay this to you. So
I
let's
saw
get
some Swoggle interview.
yeah. Oh yeah, let's get to it. So we get a recap of Johnny Bravo making enemies with basically everyone involved in Wrestle House. So this is kind of the idea. Here's all your suspects because he got
One of
shot
them's
last
a
week.
random ref.
So it's basically the list of suspects and why they each would have an issue with Bravo, and then we get a recap of the wedding/shooting, and then immediately we get D'Amore for one of a million times this episode gets off his phone and tells Dreamer that Bravo's in a medically induced coma, like he's in critical condition or whatever, but he should pull through. So Dreamer, of course, is wearing Sherlock Holmes gear, puts on the Sherlock Holmes hat.
Oh, he's not wearing animal stuff.
No,
Oh-ho.
he's Sherlock Holmes. He's starting an investigation, and everyone's a suspect. So D'Amore says that by the end of this is what I thought was funny. D'Amore kind of, as the segment's ending, says that by the end of this, I'm gonna wish it was me that got shot, and I kind of feel the same way about it. Like I'm not looking forward to this. Then we get Su Yung versus Deonna Purrazzo, and it's supposed to be a rematch from Bound for Glory, I guess. Purrazzo works the arm early to set up the Venus de Milo, her submission finisher. Lee basically introduces a chair, sliding it under the ropes from the outside, but Su Yung stomps on it to stop its progress, picks it up, and uses it to hit Purrazzo in the midsection, so she gets DQ'd and Purrazzo wins. Post-match, Su Yung hits Lee with a chair, throws it to Purrazzo, and kicks the chair into her, and it's Su Yung going a bit nuts here at the end. Not really much of a rematch, just building the feud further, I guess. So it was okay. It wasn't really much of a match at all. It was just a quick interference and a DQ. Then we get Heath and Rhino backstage, and we learn that they're going to try and hide that Heath is injured so that he can sign this contract that he's won access to. So they meet with D'Amore again, second time.
Huh.
And long story short, he knows Heath is hurt, and they'll sign him to the contract he's asked for once he's healed. This is fine. They're working a legitimate injury into a storyline, so they're kind of forced into this, and we'll see where they go with this. I'm not sure how long Heath is out for, so I don't know how long they have to kind of drag this storyline out. So guess what the next segment is? Scott D'Amore. Immediately, as he's now talking to R.D. Evans about the Purrazzo Su Yung situation.
Who's R.D. Evans?
He is a former ROH guy who's playing Purrazzo's attorney, basically.
And then you got Caleb Conley playing Tennille Dashwood.
Right. So again, as always with D'Amore's character, he's one step ahead of the heels, right? And he convinces Evans to drop the lawsuit and accept an anything goes, no DQ match at Turning Point. So here's my question. They went from furious enough to sue him and threatened to drag out a court case for years and years to fine with a rematch that she was entitled to anyways, right?
Huh.
So there's a bit of a disconnect there for me. Like, you had this rematch and you were so furious you're going to sue people, but now, okay, the rematch is fine.
Right.
And it's a no DQ now. So anyways, D'Amore's smart alecky, one step ahead of the heels and smug about it character is going to wear really thin on me and become annoying really quickly. I have a feeling it's getting close to that now.
Already.
He's been on each of the past few episodes a little too often for me, and it feels like a case of less is more. Like this whole snarky
Less is Scott D'Amore.
I'm outsmarting all the heels at every turn and being kind of snotty about it is not. I'm not enjoying it. Anyways, Swan and Edwards talk backstage about tagging together in the main event, and this I found really awkward. They sing at one point. Swan doesn't impress me anywhere other than in the ring, and that's not even all the time. He doesn't feel like a champion to me. So far, I'm not enjoying this experiment with him as the company's champion. Chris Bay defeats Trey Miguel in a short match when Bay hits a really nice leaping cutter. So he's kind of standing on the second rope in the corner facing outside of the ring, like back to the inside, and so he leaps backward and hits a really nice looking cutter. It was a decent short match with the right person winning, because I think they need to push Chris Bay, man. This guy is, I think he's pretty fantastic.
I don't know if I mentioned on the podcast, but he's in the New Japan Super J Cup.
Yes.
And so is Leo Rush.
Yep. And again, Trey Miguel, the Rascals just are the lovable losers, basically, right? They pretty much lose every match, whether it's tag team or individual, and Trey does his I'm super fast and a ton of light contact, and then away we go sort of thing. Sorry, Trey Miguel. I just find your offense is not very painful looking. Then we get, oh, thank goodness it's back,
I feel
Jackson.
like you said that about someone else.
It's been Trey
the light
usually.
Offense. No, but like even just like a while ago, I remember
Could be.
saying, but I don't
like
remember.
He's so fast and everything looks cool, and then it's like that doesn't hurt. Like it looks like that wouldn't break an egg. You know what I mean? It feels like. So we get locker room talk is back, buddy.
Yay!
With Madison Rain and Swinger is back, and their guests today are Jordan Grace and Tennille Dashwood. So the basic storyline here is, since neither of these women have tag partners for the tournament that's starting, they sort of tease that Grace and Dashwood will team up, and Grace even sort of suggests it out loud at one point, but then we get a swerve and Dashwood does say, yes, I think the women's tag team champions are right here in front of us right now, but then of course she asks Madison instead of Grace, and Madison Rayne accepts this offer to be her tag team partner. And this was fine, but you could see exactly where it was going as soon as it started. And I didn't think Dashwood did a really good job here. I've seen many worse locker room talk segments, and Swinger honestly is a pretty amusing for the few seconds that he gets on screen. So I won't complain too much, because there's been some locker talks that I absolutely couldn't stand. So this one was bearable. I mean, you could see where it was going right away, and I didn't think Dashwood did the best job of executing. Then we get Dreamer he's got to start interviewing everybody, right? So get ready for the next however many weeks of him interviewing murder suspects. So he's interviewing the ref that
Well, he's in a coma and he's probably going to recover. That's not even a murder.
Well, yes, attempted murder, you're right.
Yeah.
Dream is interviewing the ref that Bravo yelled at after the Ba and Swinger match. For some reason, I can't be bothered to remember, since the ref is now a suspect. Cody Deaner and Swinger are involved somehow, and they have a match coming up, and Dreamer yells match time like he did in Wrestle House, and they quickly tell him that this is the wrong show. And I just want to know why they insist on having Tommy Dreamer be such a part of their show every week, and when one segment and angle ends, he's a prominent part of another one. It's like, is he part of the creative team here, or is he an investor in the product? Because I don't mind Tommy Dreamer, but in 2020, I've said it a bunch on this show, he doesn't need to be so involved in a show. Anyways, basically all they've done here, and I'm not thrilled about it, is they found a new way to bring all the pointless nonsense from Wrestle House to the regular show, and I don't think that's a good thing. So here's something that was really cool, believe it or not. TJP and Rohit exchange promos in the ring, and I thought this was awesome. They both were super serious and really believable, and easily by far the best promo I've ever seen TJP cut, because normally I find his speaking not good at all. This seemed sincere and real, and it really built my interest in this match coming up. So TJP basically lists all of his announcements and accomplishments, and talks about all the work he's put in over 22 years. So Rohit sits and listens to this, and then his comeback, which I thought was super clever, was that, yeah, those are basically the accomplishments of a has-been, right? And that you need to stop taking opportunities from everyone else. You've had 22 years. You've done all those things you just listed, right? Your time is sort of done. And they said a whole lot more than this, and it was really good. But Rohit's a talented guy, and a lot of you might have heard it here first, because you might not watch this show, or if you do, you're not a fan of Rohit. This guy's talented. He cut a really good promo here. TJP, this was his best promo. It felt serious and intense, and I actually am interested in this match, and I normally couldn't care less about a TJP match, even though he is quite good in the ring.
Nice.
So Sabin challenges Ace or Larry of Triple XL to a singles match in a backstage interview. Don't really care. So Rohit is now angry, and guess who he goes to yell at? Take a guess. Scott D'Amore. Heard of him? He's been in the show 4 times already. So TJP shows up, and he gets in Rohit's face, and D'Amore breaks it up. So D'Amore, back again now, proposes one final match between them.
I need some more D'Amore.
Right? And it will be TJP's last chance. So if he doesn't win this one, I guess he won't get any more title shots, which I don't love that, because it kind of sounds like he might win, and I don't think it's time to stop the role Rohit is on yet. But anyways,
not good.
So we get more Scott D'Amore, and I feel like we've seen this pairing enough, but they probably have a decent match, and if they can cut a few more serious promos like they did tonight, they might actually get me pretty interested in their match. So I'm hoping they get a bit time to further develop sort of the storyline they started tonight. Then we get Ethan Page obviously loses to Gallows in another short match.
How could he not?
And this is where I noticed there's not much actual wrestling on this show. So I went so far as to actually find a review that timed out the matches, and I'll give you the grand total of how much time was spent on wrestling in this 2-hour show.
Okay.
Near the end. Fun little game, right? Because I started going, huh. And then I start looking, and it's like 6-minute match, 6-minute match, 4-minute match. Like, this is a lot of other things besides wrestling tonight. So it was a fine short. It builds the feud, I guess. I love the North, but the Good Brothers for me have go away heat. Like, it's that heat where I don't want to watch them lose.
Like Baron Corbin.
Right.
Not like MJF.
I don't want to watch them lose, which is what heels are supposed to do. I just don't want to watch them. And even though I love the North, I don't care about this. I don't want to see the Good Brothers. They drive me crazy. Anyways, That's so I didn't really pay much attention to that match. Maybe it was amazing, but I doubt it. So Swoggle and Myers start to get into it after Myers interrupts a Swoggle interview. Just as Swoggle talks about being viewed as he's happy he's to finally being seen as a professional wrestler. So I got that timing was kind of cool, right? Because that's Myers' gimmick is he's the most professional. So as soon as Swoggle's like, yes, I'm finally being like looked at as a professional wrestler, that's when Myers shows up. And I just put
I thought it was all right.
I said, poor Myers, extended feud with Dreamer and now into a feud with Swoggle. Like, this guy...
I mean, I get they're friends, but, like, do they have to be feuding?
And Myers has some potential, right? Like, this isn't helping me get over this idea that he's got the longest losing streak gimmick or whatever, right? Like, he's wrestling guys that are 50-something and then Swoggle. So, maybe not the best choice for him, but we'll see where it goes. So Swinger and Cody Deaner have a match, and Swinger pins in an even shorter match. This was like 4 minutes or just under. And he basically, it was a fanny pack shot by to Deaner by Swinger. And I said, basically, this was a 4-minute Swinger Deaner match. How much could I possibly have to say about it? Basically nothing. So Moose, who, as I've talked about, I'm sort of liking his new character, but he cuts a promo in the ring. It is way too long.
He's controlling his narrative.
Way too long and boring promo in his new character, which I like, but not here. He tells Swan to ask Willie Mack what real pain feels like, because last week he hit him with I thought it was a rather soft looking belt shot in the parking lot. So he's basically like, look what I did to Willie Mack. Ask him about pain. And it's like, well, you kind of barely hit him with a title shot, which like people experience 10 times more than that every week on this show. So it's kind of overly dramatic again, but not in a good way. So Mack then runs out. And after taking a cheap shot, he gets beaten down by Moose. This was far too long, and it looks like Willie Mack's going to act as like the gatekeeper to a title match, maybe, for Moose. And I guess that's fine with me. Get Moose up there in the title picture. But much like the McAfee promo, this could have been half as long, in my opinion. Because I'm liking where they're going with his character, but this was just way too much. Not exciting, way too long. So then we get Bay backstage with Swan, and he tries to manipulate Rich Swann into giving him a title shot, but Swan doesn't fall for it. I thought this was a terrible idea by them because to my eyes and ears, Chris Bay's the star out of these two, right? He's got the charisma. He can talk. He's interesting. He's got a great look. He can wrestle. And he'd be a fresh face at the top. So they put these two together and it just left me going, I think they've got the belt on the wrong guy. Like this guy, this younger version of Swan, who I find much more engaging, it was sort of became evident there to me. So I don't know if it was the best choice of them to put that segment together.
Interesting.
Right? Dreamer somehow has narrowed the suspects down to 10. We're not given any context as to how he's done this, and we just have to trust him. It's going to be one of these 10 people, trust me. Sure. And guess what? It's basically all the people from Wrestle House. Amazing. So not a fan, but anyways, we're just going to have to deal with this, I think, for a couple weeks at least and see. But we're now quickly into our main event, which is Eddie Edwards and Rich Swann versus Sami Callihan and Eric Young. Callihan gets the pin when Shamrock obviously has to show up, runs Swan into the ring steps and distracts Edwards because he gets rolled up, but he actually kicks out of it. But then he immediately takes the pile driver from Callihan for 3. It was a decent match, but I'm generally not a fan of singles guys thrown into a tag team match for a main event. It feels very WWE main roster, right? Like, put these guys together, put them against 2 other guys together, and we'll call it our main event. So if your main event's going to have guys like Eddie Edwards and Rich Swann, and this is just me, you know I'm the new wrestlers, new combinations, why not try some new guys at the top? Like, what about pushing Ace Austin, Chris Bay, Rohit,
Ace Austin,
etc., right? Impact seems to think that Rich Swann and maybe some of these other guys have some sort of
Eddie Edwards,
some sort of name recognition or like mainstream appeal, but I really think you might attract new fans. If
Swann has a bit of name recognition from his time in WWE, but that was so long ago, and like, honestly, I wouldn't blame you for forgetting about it.
I honestly feel like the value is in people overhearing, man, I hear these guys I haven't really heard of before are killing it at Impact, right? Maybe I'll check it out.
Yeah, and like that's a little more intriguing, right? If you don't know.
Like, I'm hearing that this Chris Bay is just amazing, and he's got their belt right now, and I'm going to check it out. Like, I think, to me, there's more value in that than saying, hey, a cast-off from WWE you haven't heard about in 5 years that never really accomplished anything in WWE is their champion, to me. But I always want the new, fresh faces, right? And I think there's a few of them there, and they just need to recognize it and push them. Anyways, overall, decent show, nothing special. So, in my total tally of minutes of wrestling, It was like 31 minutes of a 2-hour show of wrestling. The Row Heat TJP exchange was the highlight of the show for me. None of the matches really...
TJP, a highlight?
Right?
Wow.
Talking TJP a highlight. That's unheard of for me.
That's probably not great for the show then. That probably says more about the show than TJP.
It was a really good promo. I quite liked it. Again, I'm being honest, right? If I generally dislike something, but when he do a good job, I'll give him credit.
Right.
So nothing really stood out. The matches were either too short or... because nothing other than the main event was even more than 6 minutes, or there's a not so interesting main event that was whatever 11 or 12 minutes. The Dreamer investigation is a big minus for me as well. So
does he still have that animal haircut?
Yeah, he does, but he's wearing it. He's wearing it under his Sherlock Holmes hat. So I gave this show a C. It was not enjoyable. You don't need literally nothing I would recommend you go see unless you want to check out the Row Heat TJP interaction. That was cool. Everything else, you just let me describe it for you. I took that bullet for you people because it wasn't that enjoyable for me.
Yeah.
Okay,
Nice.
dude. The last thing I have is Full Gear predictions, and I'm going to keep track of them. Right? So, match number 1 is Serena Deeb versus Allison Kay for the NWA Women's Championship on the pre-show, or the, what do they call it? The buy-in?
The buy-in. Allison Kay, because she's an actual NWA person.
You're taking Kay?
Yeah, because Serena Deeb's just like, I don't know. Not even an NWA person. She's meh.
I will take Deeb just because I don't know if they're ready to take it off of her yet, and I don't even
I feel like she could be a transitional champion.
I don't even know Kay's contract status, so I'll take Deeb. So we got one difference there. That's good. Orange Cassidy, John Silver, which I think it might be the opener, but maybe
Cassidy. Has to
Cassidy, I agree. I feel like they don't really want to slow down.
I think this could give John Silver could give him a bit of competition, but like he's not winning.
I agree. I think Silver is going to have a really good showing. I think I'm actually going to really enjoy this match.
He could look good in defeat. That's always a possibility, but he's not winning.
Unless there's shenanigans and they want to keep Cassidy tangled up with Dark Order and he can move his way up the rankings of the Dark Order people. I don't know. But anyways, I'm taking Cassidy as well. So Hardy and Guevara.
Since it's a deletion, elite deletion.
There you go.
I'd have to say Hardy because he's not going to lose a deletion.
And I'm going to say Guevara because at some point Hardy needs to start putting over these young guys, and I think Guevara is a good choice. So
yeah, I think he probably is a guy who's willing to put. I'm just going to say because it's a deletion he'd win, but like I think there's a chance.
That's a fair argument, and I almost thought about switching once you said that because he probably does have an advantage in this type of match, but I think it might be time.
And I think Hardy seems like the guy, not like John Cena or Triple H, where he will put a guy over when it's necessary.
I think he has to know that's kind of his role maybe at this point, right? Jericho MJF. I know who I'm taking.
I think probably Jericho. Actually, maybe MJF because he's I don't know. No, Jericho. I don't think MJF's going to join the Inner Circle.
See, I'm taking MJF because I think in order to carry this storyline further, they might need to put him in Inner Circle for a little bit and see. Because otherwise, I feel like it might.
I want to take MJF.
You're taking MJF.
That's a better idea.
I'll let
you. I was kind of in the middle then.
Yeah, I just feel like maybe I don't know.
That's a fair point.
I can't see where the storyline goes if he doesn't, right? And I feel like I don't know. We'll see, but that's my guess. Shida and Nyla Rose.
Shida.
Because
I don't really care.
I'm actually taking Nyla Rose. We disagree again. I
don't care about this match.
I know you don't, and I just think Shida's run.
I want to, but
Shida's run hasn't been like she has good matches and stuff, but there's nothing amazing about it. So I think maybe it's time for them to move on, and that maybe they're gonna go like Nyla Rose, Britt Baker, or somewhere down. I don't know. We'll see where they go.
I think Shida should win because then Britt Baker has a babyface to win the title from.
And our next one, Paige or Omega.
Ooh, that's tough. I think it could go either way, but since I like him more, I'm gonna go Hangman.
Okay, and I am taking Omega. I just feel like Omega can just embrace this cleaner heel gimmick with the belt, and they can sort of rebuild Paige and then build it to them having a rematch.
I love Hangman so much more, but like this could really go either way for me. But I'm literally only picking Hangman because I like him more. But I think this could go either way, to be honest. So
I do too.
Maybe write that down, but like I'll go like I'll go slight Hangman, but like.
And I'm taking Omega.
I think either way it's possible.
I think it might add to this whole Page's losing confidence in himself, and he has to slowly build himself back up to be able to challenge Omega again, and then that would be a huge rematch down the line somewhere. But we'll see. Cody Rhodes versus Darby Allin.
Darby Allin.
I agree.
I think he's gonna finally get his break.
I think it's time as well. And aren't they at
Cody doesn't need this title.
Didn't Darby they do one to a time limit draw? one for Rhodes. So I think maybe it's Allen's turn here. But anyways, I'm taking Darby Allin too. I'm sure it will be a good match, and Cody will be overly dramatic and it'll annoy me, but I'll probably still like it overall. FTR and the Young Bucks.
Young Bucks, they've really put themselves into a corner here.
And that's why I'm going to take FTR, because I think they'll maybe, again, Bucks could lose and then have to chase FTR to get that opportunity back somehow, right? Like maybe
because they're saying they won't challenge, but it's not like they're not allowed. They're just saying that they won't, right?
Right.
So if they really wanted to, they probably could. But I'm just going to say Young Bucks because, well, actually, no, I'll stick with my pick.
I'm taking FTR because I feel like
I'm kind of unsure, but I'll stand by my pick.
They've boxed it in so much that I feel like they're going to go the other way with it, and then maybe the Bucks can find
maybe
some
the opposite
way.
of what they did with Cody last year.
Yeah. And then the main event, Mox and Kingston. I think we're going to agree here.
I think Mox, but I think this.
I'm surprised you're hesitating.
I think Mox mostly, but like if Kingston were to win, this would be the time.
Yeah.
Because think about it, Mox has reigned for most of the year, right? So if he were to lose, he would have had a good run. And this is the exact match type where Kingston can look good and win the title. So it's possible that he could win here. But that being said, I'm going to take Mox because then I think Mox is the more credible star. Kingston's not quite ready. And then Mox is a babyface that if Omega were to win a tournament,
yes,
Omega could beat. Or if Hangman were to win the tournament, it would be a good face-on-face match because they're both kind of like tweeners, right? So I think either way, Mox is better for the tournament winner and as a champion. So I'm going to go with Mox.
I like your final arguments there about it sets up better feuds in the future, and I don't think they're going to put the belt on Kingston
I think it's Mox. But I think if hypothetically, if they were to ever put the belt on Kingston, I think this would be one of the best matches for him to do it. But the other timing with the tournament might not be the best for him.
Yeah, I don't think they ever will, and I don't think they will now, and I think they'll keep it on Moxley for a bit longer, and a Moxley-Omega match would be big. And
Mox Hangman.
And that's where I think the title changes hands. I think it's going to get on
Remember
Omega.
Remember Full Gear last year? They had that barbaric match?
Yep, so I think they've had their face champion for like a year now, and it's basically time.
No, not quite, because he won it at Revolution, but like most of the year.
And maybe it's time to transition to a heel champion who can have a long run in Omega as well. So
and maybe at Double or Nothing next year, he has the perfect foil already set up.
So we will be watching that
man.
pay-per-view tonight / tomorrow, and maybe if you want, we could do a quick review show tomorrow at some point, like sit down for half an hour, talk about it.
We got stuff to do tomorrow, remember? So maybe.
Oh yeah, we'll see what time we have in the day. But that brings us to the end of any other wrestling business, right? So that we have one final segment, and that is where Jack gets into the world of wrestling action figures, and it is figuring it out with Jack. So go ahead while I drink some coffee.
We've got a boatload because we had Ringside Fest at home, which is their little thing to get some figure reveals in, besides like Comic-Con and whatever. So
all right,
we've got a lot.
Go for it. We're already at 2 hours 20 minutes. So
let me pull up my phone.
Don't be too long.
Quick from my
I'm not looking to set another record this week.
Oh, okay. I know, that's fine. Just pulling up my images real quick. Alright, so first we've got the Elite Fan Takeover line revealed. So we've got, first up is Seth Rollins from WrestleMania 35. And so on the back they show the poll percentages because there was polls on WWE.com. So this attire received 35.44% of the vote, which beat out Survivor Series 2019, which was just behind with 33.3%, and the Thanos SummerSlam 2018 attire with 31.26%. This attire is nice. It's that black and gold one from when he beat Brock Lesnar.
I do like that.
But I was really hoping for the Thanos one. You know, like, he had, like, the cool entrance code, and he had, like, the one gold kick pad and knee pad. And, like, you remember it?
I don't know who Thanos is, but I remember
He's the guy
outfit.
from Marvel.
I know,
the big grape villain.
I don't know any of those people.
Anyways, I thought that was a really nice attire, and they dropped the ball when they made a basic of it, so I was really hoping for an Elite, but whatever. This is a good attire, but not what I was hoping for personally, but anyways. Then we got Adam Cole from the March 20th, 2019 episode of NXT. This attire received 36.3% of the vote. It just beat out the TakeOver War Games 2018 attire, which is that camo one.
Right.
That they just made Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish in, and then the Roderick Strong. So I think a lot of people were really hoping for it, so that you have the Undisputed Era matching attire.
Yeah,
but unfortunately, did not. It got 33.3% 25% of the vote. And then NXT TakeOver New York was the third option, which got 30.2% of the vote. Next, we have Ricky the Dragon Steamboat wearing his white attire from WrestleMania 3, that classic match with
one
Randy
of the greatest
Savage.
matches of all time.
So this one received a whopping 50.7% of the vote.
People love that match.
Yeah, and then just beating at Starrcade 1993 with 44% of the vote. And then WrestleMania 25 received 5.3% of the vote.
Nice.
Really low because that was when he had that brief return match against Jericho with the other legend. So it's like old Steamboat, so no wonder that one
Like there was
well.
any chance the WrestleMania 3 match wasn't winning that.
Right. I mean, Starrcade was pretty close because that's another classic one probably. Yeah. So that one was close. And then lastly, we have Shayna Baszler. The winning attire was NXT April 17th, 2019 with 34.5% of the vote. Just narrowly beat out NXT TakeOver Phoenix from last year with 32.8% of the vote, which just so slightly beat NXT TakeOver Toronto, which I kind of hoped
because we were there.
And it was a nice red attire, which had 32.7. So
big Shayna Baszler fans in the studio.
And she had a really nice attire. Like it was just like a nice red attire. So I was hoping for that. But it's a nice black and silver look, and they actually painted the NXT in silver, so it's the actual women's title this time.
Oh, nice.
Which is nice. So that's a pretty nice lineup, and I'm just trying to speak there.
Words are
I'm
hard.
excited for that. So we have a Royal Rumble 2021 elites. We have Stone Cold Steve Austin, your average Stone Cold. He's got the face scan that's got a bit of true effects, but he's got the gold lettered vest.
Yep.
And we thought this would be 2001, but it's actually, from what it says on the back, it's 2002 Royal Rumble, which is nice. Then we got Umaga in his red tights from 2008. And I love the face gown with the tongue out and the braided hair.
I love that.
He has the
Umaga
alternate
figure.
hand for the Samoan spike, and I'm so sad this is a Target exclusive because I really want it. So to the point where like I would probably, if I have money for it, I would buy that off of eBay because I really want an Umaga.
It is very cool. I like Umaga. Well, it's very just a different looking figure, which he was a different looking wrestler. He was cool.
Yeah, and he's got the red elbow pads, red tights, red face paint. Looks really nice, and it's got like the Samoan, the skirt thingy.
Yep.
So it looks really
good.
good.
It's a cool looking figure.
And then we got Titus O'Neil from the Greatest Royal Rumble 2018. He's got the Rumble Stumble and Slide shirt.
Nice.
And it's the same scan and like the same arm joints from like his unreleased NXT Takeover figure, but just different attire.
Cool. His arms look really long.
Yeah, with those hands, I guess. And it looks all right. And then we got Ultimate Warrior from 1990. He faced Hulk Hogan in this, and this was like leading up to the Ultimate Challenge. He's got the yellow strapped Intercontinental title and an alternate head scan, which is the mid-match face paint, which I really like.
Because his face paint was always peeling off.
Always.
In his match.
And like I think Sting did that too, right?
Oh, a lot, yes. Yeah. Any sort of competitive match, their face paint was coming off.
Yeah. WrestleMania 37 Elite loose images revealed. Just a reminder, this series has Goldberg from WrestleMania 36. He's got that blue Universal title.
Right.
And for the Paul Ellering, he's got the head for Paul Ellering, the classic head with the hair.
Yep.
Then we got Edge from WrestleMania 22. He's got like it's a more of a street attire, sorry. And he's got like a vest from the hardcore match he had with Mick Foley, and then a baseball bat. And he's got the bald head for Paul Ellering, and then also the torso for the Build-A-Figure.
So you just get a random torso, a severed torso and head in your package. We
got great. China from WrestleMania 17, a.k.a. WrestleMania X7 with the women's title.
Best WrestleMania ever.
Yep, touted by many. Say. And then she's got the arms for Paul Ellering and the hands, and then Rocco, which is probably the creepiest part because it's just a little puppet.
That is creepy.
Or ventriloquist dummy, sorry. And then Shawn Michaels from WrestleMania 9, who's got the legs for Paul Ellering.
Nice.
And he does look pretty nice. That's a nice shot.
Looks nice.
That's a nice Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels figures are usually pretty nice. Then we got the WrestleMania 37 basics revealed. So first we got Ricochet with finally a new head scan. It's like a black and white attire. Looks
Never heard of him.
Pretty nice.
Does he wrestle still?
I don't know. I'm not sure. We should probably look that up.
Right? I wonder where he is. I'm sure he's really successful wherever he is because he's a very, very talented person.
Right, of course. Yeah, he's super talented.
Guy's considered one of the best wrestlers in the world, and they can't. Anyways,
and he's got dumb attire now.
Yeah.
Black and white Andrade from WrestleMania 35 as well, I believe. Oh yeah. I don't know if I
Are you just
that.
trying to break my heart with all the NXT talent that are now doing nothing.
And then we got Drew McIntyre from, I think it's WrestleMania 35 as well.
Nice.
And then Fiend from WrestleMania 36. And so his hair's like too blonde, but it's a basic. It's got like the jacket on the Fiend, which I think
his hair is really blonde.
Which is a nice look for the Fiend, actually. Yeah. I think it's a cool idea for basic.
Take a Sharpie to that hair, though.
You're telling me. Let's see. What do we have next? We got some more Elite 81 loose images. Nothing much there. Nothing too important, but just to recap, store exclusives, Mae Young. You also had The Rock, Shinsuke Nakamura, Stunning Steve Austin, Street Profits, and Bianca Belair, Chase Variant, Shinsuke Nakamura. I've talked about that series a couple times, so I'm just going to kind of gloss over it there. So then we got Elite 82. We got an NXT Finn Balor with a new head scan and like the kind of Prince gimmick, and perfect timing as he's the NXT champion. So it's really nice. The updated hand tattoo and like the updated scan and the shirt.
Wonder when he's
got
back.
Like a cloth shirt with the X on it. Looks really nice. And then we got a pink, black, and green Alexa Bliss, and she comes with for the first time ever a women's tag team title.
Cool.
Which looks pretty nice. Got Jerry the King Lawler from like mid 90s Lawler.
Gross.
It actually looks pretty good though.
Well, yeah, because he's got the robe and crown and stuff, I guess. But
I like the kind of half singlet.
Gross to Jerry the King Lawler in general.
Yeah, I guess so. And then we got John Morrison from his 2019 return, which looks really cool.
Yep. Uncle Johnny.
We got Rob Gronkowski, who we don't have images of because he's still got a render image, which is weird, but who cares? I don't care about that figure at all.
The pictures of us with John Morrison and Seidel and somebody at Moose came up on my phone for some reason. That was a good time. I have to tell that story sometime.
Yeah, and then we got Keith Lee in the black and blue attire. I must say, they did an incredible torso choice for this guy.
Yes, which I love because that's a unique body mold, right, for him. Probably
and a new scan, which captures the goatee look for him. He's got the painted on elbow pad. It looks really nice, the black and blue. It looks I like
when it looks like they had to put effort into the figure instead of just like reusing a body, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
grabbing
it looks
a stock body
incredible. And then the chase in pink and white or silver. Yeah, pink and white.
Yeah.
Looks amazing as well. Like that just looks incredible.
So I like the Viscera ones and even the Umaga ones. It looks like a different body. They couldn't just use one
Keith
of their...
Lee looks amazing.
Yep.
Keith Lee and Balor definitely highlights, and John Morrison's cool, and even the Alexa Bliss is pretty nice.
Nice.
Elite 83 now. We got a Dusty Rhodes figure revealed. Apparently this head scan they just had in the archive, so he looks pretty nice.
Yep.
I think that's actually the same body as Umaga, funny enough.
Could be.
The hat and he's got like a necklace thing, this weird coat with it's black and red polka dots.
Oh wow, that's quite the...
Yeah, so that's the only Elite 83 actual image we have, because then we got a Drew McIntyre render image. Looks to be a new smiling head scan, which I like, because it's nice when you have a new head scan. And then we got King Corbin, I think, which we already had, and then Sasha Banks as well. And then we got Edge, so the normal one, I think, is WrestleMania 35, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And then the Chase variant is from the Greatest Match Ever, Backlash.
Greatest Match Ever, not our words.
Yep. It's actually a good attire, but the match was...
It was not the greatest match ever.
Yeah, and then we got a couple Elite 84 reveals, as we had Sheamus. It's like a current Sheamus, and just from the render images, the scan looks amazing. So I'm pumped for that. And we got a Zelina Vega store exclusive.
Nice. I heard vaguely that she and Aleister Black are just going to keep streaming and see what happens. I know Paige is, and I heard that they might as well. They're very successful streamers.
Yep.
I heard something like Paige makes like $400,000 a year streaming. I don't know if that's true either, but that would motivate her to want to keep it. That's for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we got Elite 85, a couple render images. We got Karrion Kross.
That's cool.
Nice.
I honestly have forgotten all about him.
Undertaker from the Boneyard match.
Nice. Wonder when Kross is back.
I know. Probably a while if it's the same injury as Balor.
I'm trying to think how long he's been gone. Couple months probably.
Yeah, already. Aleister Black with the crazy coat.
Yeah. Back when he used to be cool. Hey, another NXT guy that's super lame now. There's a theme to this today.
And then Liv Morgan. Ugh.
I don't know, man. I'll hear, she's so talented and no one works harder and she's going to be a star.
No, she's not.
I have not seen that.
Oh, yeah, and then the store exclusive for Elite 83 is Michael Hayes. We got render image as well.
Timely, since he just was on TV.
Yeah, I know. That's surprisingly timely.
Mm-hmm.
We got Elite 2-pack, WrestleMania 2 boxing match of Mr. T and Roddy Piper.
Right.
Crazy that now there's already two Mr. T Elites, which is weird. because there's the Comic-Con exclusive, and then there's this.
Right.
Which means what? And the boxing gloves are interchangeable with the hand, so like if you want to do a boxing match with other figures, you could.
That's cool.
Which I think is actually kind of
Do
neat.
a brawl for all. There's something to review at some point. Actually, I wouldn't subject you to that. It was some of the most boring nonsense. Oh, it was so boring.
So then we got a new Elite 2-pack revealed. We got render images of Triple H and Jeff Hardy. This is a red-haired Jeff Hardy in a 2-man Power Trip era Triple H, and includes the Oval Intercontinental title because it's from when Jeff Hardy won the title. So I think I showed you.
Yep.
There's Jeff Hardy, and then I kind of like the Oval Intercontinental title. I still don't have it, so I really want that.
Something to shoot for.
Then we got, let me see, we got Ultimate Edition 9 render images. We got Stone Cold.
Yeah.
He's got like a kind of mocking laugh expression, an angry expression, then the usual just miffed expression. Then we got Ric Flair, who should be coming with the robe. It doesn't show it, but he probably will. Then the World Heavyweight title / WCW title, and then an alternate Woo head, and like 4 Horseman hands.
Woo face.
Woo face. And we got finally Ultimate Edition 7 images, which is Fiend and Hulk Hogan. Nice. Hollywood Hogan. Finally. So we got, Hogan's got a bunch of stuff. He's got 2 interchangeable heads. He's got like a smiling one, which is the one that's defaulted on. And he's got like a screaming one, and then just like a closed mouth one. And he's got a cloth NWO tank top and a boa, and then like obviously the bandana, and then sunglasses, and then he's got interchangeable hands, of course, and then he's got like his weight belt, and then the spray painted World Heavyweight title.
Nice. And
you get a lot with this, so really a bang for your buck. And
too bad it's Hulk Hogan.
Well, I mean, it's in 2015 we're supposed to get some Elite of NWO Hulk Hogan, and then obviously there's the
just as a person,
incident.
I don't like to support anything he does.
The incident, but then so it got canceled, but we're finally getting that. And then we got the Fiend, who looks sick as hell. It looks awesome.
Not that you're biased at all.
Oh no, never. So he comes with interchangeable arms for his jacket, and then he's got the jacket top, which looks great. He's got an alternate head with the tongue out, which I also think looks amazing.
Yeah.
And then he's got interchangeable hands, obviously, and then also the Fiend custom belt, which is nice to finally get.
Cool.
Yeah, that's it. A lot for this one, but that's because
okay.
We had the Ringside Fest, and I really like the Ultimate Editions. Those are nice, and Keith Lee I'm excited for, and then Balor's new one looks nice
just in
too.
time for the holiday season, so you never know. Well, that was a very comprehensive look. That's good.
Yep.
So I guess this brings us to the end of episode 16. As always, thanks everybody for listening. If you listen to a little bit, a lot, the whole thing, that's fantastic. Growth wasn't quite as quick as last week, but we still picked up a couple listeners. I don't really know how to check iTunes yet. So as you guys know, you can find us on YouTube, on iTunes, on Podbean, on Google Podcasts, on Spotify.
Basically anything.
Overcast, on whatever the other couple things that we're getting listened to on that I don't even know how it got there or what they exist, but I get reports that people listen to us there, so thank you. It's awesome. I'm still having a great time doing this, and there's no end in sight. This is now kind of part of our routine, so we'll keep doing it. So thanks to everybody that gives us a bit of a listen. You can also contact us. Again, you'd be the first one, so you can contact us, fnswrestling@gmail.com, and FNS_wrestling_podcast on Instagram, correct?
Yes.
We don't have any other new ways of reaching us, so feel free to try one of those. We'll definitely acknowledge you on our next podcast if you do. And you got anything else to say, buddy?
No.
All right, well, thanks everybody. Have a great week, and we will see you back here next Saturday, and take care until then.
See ya.